finishes higher, up 47 points. America is listening to Fox News.
Want to grow your business? Start a new venture? Or stay ahead of the competition? You can. With Docomo Pacific Smart Business Solutions tailored to your specific needs and ambitions, you can do it all. Partner with a network with best-in-class network coverage, state-of-the-art communication platforms, and a team dedicated to providing you with premium support. Call 688-2677 to start your journey to success today. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
It's a one-of-a-kind wine fundraiser. Wahan Sustainable Culture presents Wine in the Garden. The Hamamoto Gardens help support food sovereignty, security, and sustainability while sipping wines from around the world, surrounded by 50-some acres of beautiful farm and garden. Tickets are $75 each. Proceeds support education and outreach on how important, easy, and fun sustainable practices can be. Wine in the Garden is on Saturday evening, October 26th, starting at 5. For more details, go to our website, gusustainable.org, or call 687-6491.
President Trump now in Pennsylvania, speaking at a shale conference in Pittsburgh. This just hours after former Vice President Joe Biden spoke in his childhood hometown, Scranton, saying the president's policies and leadership style have hurt U.S. workers. Two associates of the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, make their first appearances in Manhattan federal court.
Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman both entered not guilty pleas to the 4 charges they face, including conspiracy and making false statements to federal election officials. Outside court, Parnas says he will defend himself against false things being said about him.
And I'm certain that in the time, truth will be revealed, and I will be vindicated.
Parnas and Fruman are also linked to the impeachment inquiry in Congress for their connections in Ukraine. Their next court date is in early December with 2 other defendants who appeared last week. At that time, the judge will set a date for trial. In New York City, Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Boeing posting weaker than expected profit for the latest quarter, though revenues were slightly better than expected, nearly $20 billion.
Overall, the numbers were disappointing, and that's because the company is dealing with the 737 MAX crisis. Profits were 53% lower than last quarter, but still the stock turned positive. And that's because the analysts said that there was no incremental negative news on the 737. In other words, the company is saying they're still on track to get it back in the air in the 4th quarter. That's what investors wanted to hear, and that's what investors got.
Fox Business Network's Jackie DeAngelis. Google announcing it's achieved a breakthrough in quantum computing, saying it's developed an experimental processor that took just minutes to complete a calculation that would take the world's best supercomputer thousands of years. The findings are published in the scientific journal Nature. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Introducing KFC's new macaroni and cheese bowl. It's finger-licking, cheese. KFC chicken. Cheese and chicken for only $5. Visit your nearest KFC and get your hands on this chicken and cheese $5 mac and cheese bowl. Only for a limited time and only at KFC. It's finger licking good.
Konnichiwa! We'll be celebrating the 40th Japan Autumn Festival on Saturday, November 16th from 2 until 9 at the Governor Joseph Flores Beach Park. That's Ipao Beach Park. Parking will be available across Oka Payless with free shuttle service every 15 minutes starting at 1:30. Advance tickets available now at the Japan Club of Guam office located on the 1st floor of Pia Marine during business hours. The Japan Autumn Festival at Ipao Beach Park, November 16th from 2 to 9. Come join us. For information, call 646-8066. This message made possible by Choice Broadcasting.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Day and good morning, Guam. It is 6:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyrant with some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The case involved the seizure of $1.1 million worth of drugs and firearms, and while court documents have been unsealed in the district court, few details have been released in the case against Ramon Meneses. Meneses faces charges of conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine in the federal case. He's pleaded not guilty in the Superior Court of Guam to local charges of possession of Scheduled I and Scheduled II controlled substances with the intent to deliver and possession of a firearm without a firearms ID. According to Post files, police initially stopped Meneses in February for speeding. Subsequent searches of his car and home also led to the discovery of weapons, $3,500, and a large amount of drugs to include suspected LSD and MDMA pills. 42 grams of marijuana and suspected drug ledgers were also discovered. Police also discovered over 5 pounds of meth and 837 grams of marijuana from his home. Meneses asked the court to be released from jail in his local case, but the judge denied the request, stating that he poses a risk of fleeing and is a danger to the community. The defendant has dual U.S. and Philippine citizenship. The deadline for the government of Guam to petition an appeal in Guam's plebiscite law before the U.S. Supreme Court has passed. Attorney Mike Phillips was tapped by the governor to take the lead on the appeal, but yesterday said the 10-day window to file an extension has passed. The extension would be for the filing of the writ of certiorari. Phillips says Guam would have to present a reason that would fall under extraordinary circumstances to seek an extension of time to file the petition. At this time, he says Guam's case could be mission impossible. Chances that the Supreme Court will accept a petition to appeal are slim. Out of every 7,000 petitions for appeal, the High Court accepts just 100 to 150 cases. Howard Trapp, who's a retired Guam attorney and constitutional expert, says Guam can try and ask the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals for a rehearing on the merits of the case. Now, Governor Luliang Guerrero is aware that the government of Guam has missed the deadline, but she will leave it up to Phillips to consider the path to seek on the petition. The governor announced on Monday that Guam will appeal the Ninth Circuit's decision rejecting Guam's plebiscite law. Both the District Court of Guam and the Ninth Circuit have deemed the plebiscite law as unconstitutional. The two inmates who escaped from the Department of Corrections halfway house pleaded not guilty to the charges in the indictment handed down against them in the Superior Court. Johnny Del Rosario and Johnny Atalik appeared before Magistrate Judge Jonathan Kwan for their arraignment. Both through their defense attorneys denied the charge of felony escape as a third-degree felony. Del Rosario, who asserted his rights to a speedy trial, is represented by attorney Shinju Flynn. Atalik waived his right to a speedy trial. He's represented by attorney William Jones. Both are scheduled to appear back in court on October 31st. The two inmates escaped the prison's halfway house earlier this month, and after 12 hours on the lam, turned themselves into prison officials. 5 DOC officers, including the prison's warden, remain on administrative leave. More news after this.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
Wow, nice smile. So perfect and all.
Thanks. I owe it all to Dr. Robert Yang and his Smile team. They do wonders for a healthy, happy mouth.
Got teeth? Don't wait until they hurt. Schedule your routine checkup and cleaning with Dr. Yang and his Smile team. Suite 119 in the East-West Business Center, Upper Tumon. Call 647-8702 or 3.
The best thing that happened to teeth since toothpaste.
Dr. Yang and his Smile team.
They make smiles happen.
A federal indictment was unsealed in the District Court of Guam for drug defendant Anthony Artero. Artero was indicted by a federal grand jury last December and has since pleaded guilty to attempted possession with the intent to distribute methamphetamine. Artero's case involves the shipment of meth to Guam from Nevada, and as part of his plea, he admitted to traveling to Las Vegas and mailing the meth back to Guam, all in exchange for thousands of dollars that he said he gambled away. The U.S. Attorney's Office also issued a notice of forfeiture for any property or money that Artero received directly or indirectly as a result of the illegal activity. He is scheduled to be sentenced in January. And a man who sold an air conditioning unit to 2 separate buyers was arrested by police after he allegedly pocketed the money and never delivered the installed the items. 36-year-old Donato Langman is charged with aggravated theft of property as a second-degree felony and theft of property as a third-degree felony. According to court documents, police responded to separate incidents in August of 2017 and August of 2016. The women in each of the incidents told police that they paid the suspects for the air conditioning units to include installation costs, but the suspect never delivered. And also in Toto Kenyatta, residents there say that the water is still out. GWA crews have been working throughout the night on a damaged main that burst yesterday. They shut down Toto Kenyatta Loop, so traffic may be an issue on that stretch this morning. GWA had not said that when they're going to expect to have water back on. They did shoot for 5 this morning, but residents in that area say that water's still out.
Any residents in particular?
The residents of my house.
There you go. Are suggesting there's no water in the area on Facebook Live. A picture of the guys actually working yesterday afternoon on this problem. And it's a gusher. It was a gusher coming through there. Thank God it's fresh water and not sewer water from the houses that are above you. Tricky stuff there. 6:13 in the morning. All right, let's weather it up here. I got partly sunny skies today with some isolated showers. Thunderstorms are possible as well. East winds 15 to 20 miles an hour, decreasing slightly tonight. Highs around 88 degrees, and overnight lows should be about 78 degrees for sunrise this morning, 6:12 or just seconds ago, and sunset tonight about 5:57 for you sunset hunters. That's the time that is going to be breaking the plane. Obviously, you're going to want to be there a little bit earlier than that. I'd take a look at the weather radar. However, it seems to be on the fritz. Once again, radar data are temporarily unavailable for this location, so somebody's got to go out up on the roof and kick the pig or something.
Yeah, they got to feed the hamsters, so it's all good. But I haven't checked on why exactly it's out, but it could be just a routine maintenance situation. They may want to get it up and running before the next storm system comes in, and we're not really sure when that's going to be. Looking at the satellite here, that really is the story. We can see mostly of what's going on here. This sort of thing pushing in right now, and I talked about it on my Facebook weather when I posted it just a moment ago. It reminds me of the backdoor cold fronts we'd get along the Texas Gulf Coast about this time of year. You'd get a front that would get on down. Yeah, I did. And we'd get a front that'd come on in, and then the backside of it would kind of sweep on through slowly and then pull on away before it really got cool. And that's kind of what I see here in terms of the visuals. Now, it's not a cold front. What it is actually a boundary area. It's an area of wind convergence. You've got these southeast winds converging with these strong easterly winds, and it's kicking up the clouds a bit, creating some lift with whatever available moisture is in the atmosphere. But if you look off to the right, and you can't really see it on our display. Can we scooch over to the right? You see all that pink up in there? That's dry air, and so the air is really dry. It's kind of a retrograde high pressure system that's building back in over us in light of the last storm, Boaloy, moving away. And so this happened actually after Hagibis as well. And if you remember, we talked about it that day, and it turned out to be a pretty nice day. So I think today is going to wind up being that way once these clouds and showers get moved through. But it looks like we're going to get a little bit of round of rain sometime this morning, and then by this afternoon, things will dry out quickly. The winds are going to really pick up. They've already started to pick up just a bit out there as it is. And then it should be nice for the next 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's actually a topic of conversation among people getting together, and you start talking about things to look forward to in the last part of the year, in the early part of 2020. And it's going to be that nice weather when it comes around 6:15. A little bit later on, a story on page 19 of today's Guam Daily Post talking about the Super El Nino events, which may become more frequent. Now, you read a little bit into that story, and what's interesting to me is it says since the 1970s, there has been a westward shift by a few hundred miles in where the Pacific Ocean El Nino is originating from and peaking in intensity, as well as a boost in the odds of extremely strong El Nino events. So I'm hoping that the El Nino is moving a little bit more westward, which means that as storms develop, they're developing more westward, which means by the time they get to where the Marianas are, they're not as weak. They're not as primed as they could be.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, the El Nino actually occurs over in the other hemisphere. It's on the other side of the ocean over by South America. So even a couple of hundred miles doesn't shift it that much in terms of the development here. El Nino has effects with our development in other ways in terms of climatology, not so much in the actual development of storms. But when we're in an El Nino year, like we have been this year and even last to some degree, you're your tropical cyclone development is muted just a bit. You don't get as many little spinnies and things because it just works differently that way. You actually will get more development over in the eastern Pacific, and we haven't seen much of that this year either. So,
interesting.
Yeah, that particular science is still there. It's very much in deep study.
All right, it's 6:16 in the morning, and we'll get into some deep study and deep conversation, some deep thoughts as the program continues. Portions of this one here brought to you by Bank Pacific, banking on the Pacific for 65 years.
Live the balanced lifestyle. Take Care Insurance offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. They have the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs for all ages. Join the movement. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram or visit takecareasia.com to learn more.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show. The really interesting parts are brought to you by the guys over at APL, American President Lines, where they got a global presence at a local home, and the guys over at Wendy's, where they're cooking up breakfast for you. It's eating time. The Vittles, they're waiting on you to come in and order 5 local breakfast patterns. We got eggs and rice, breakfast meat, and all of that for like $4. Applewood smoked bacon, Portuguese sausage, country fried chicken and gravy with the scrambled eggs on the on the rice. God, that's good. Wendy's breakfast platter for $4. The real deal at breakfast is Wendy's. Now that's better.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
It's 6:18 in the morning. The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray Gibson. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. Michael Knight, Duke Sky Talker, in the studio, standing by to take your telephone calls at 888-8255. That's 888-8255. And then Montesilva Tyrant with all of the big news stories that we're going to be covering, including the plight. Yes, I said plight of residents of the Toto Cañada area this morning who have been without water since yesterday and continue to be without any hydraulic resources here this morning as a result of another in a continuing series. Here's what they need to stop screwing around with this, because even when I lived in Cañada, and that's, what is that, 10 years ago now? Even when I lived in Cañada, we had some problems with the pipes and water, and then they come and they fix it. You know, it'll crop up over at Auntie Helen's old place, and then it'll crop up over by San Vicente, and then it finally went to my house, and then the problem just keeps going down the hill, and now it is the Cañada of Cañada, the absolute bottom of the valley. And now we run into this situation here where we've got guys that are working this. So here's the news. If you live south of Telenbrandi, right? If you live south of Telenbrandi on that strip of road, the water situation is going to your place next, because it's been going down the hill. Now it's at the bottom, and now it's going to start creeping up the hill towards Mongmototomaiti.
Yeah, and typically what happens is when they make a repair here, somewhere up or down the street, there's going to be another burst. And so I don't know if when they repressure their lines, it just causes some damage somewhere.
Earthquake, seismic damage. I don't blame it on Luli and Guerrero if you want to, but somebody's got to go down there.
Really, really old lines, yeah. So I think it is eventually going to be part of GWA's system upgrade, but gosh, I think it needs to be sooner than later.
That's it. When can we get that started? 20 after 6 o'clock in the morning. So there's no what did you pow with? Did you go to the gym? Did you
again your pool?
Okay, again. Thank God they're open now. Anyway, so you got that problem over there, and Montesilva Tyrant's going to be talking about that. We'll include that in the newscast, because all stories are local stories, and there's a couple of very, very interesting local stories right now. We are in process of trying to get a conversation going with Mike Sinikolas, just because it's fun, just because you know what, I'm getting to the point now where I just like to put Mike Sinikolas on the radio just because I know it irks people over at Adelup. So we're looking to get a hold of him, and I got a note here from Sahara. Says we'll try to get him on today. This is our congressman. He is currently presiding over the Facebook hearing with Mark Zuckerberg right now. Mike Nicholas presiding over a hearing. There's Facebook hearings going on there. What's cryptocurrencies, the Zuck Buck or something like that. And there's another weird kind of, you know how sometimes the news collides in a couple of different directions. There is also, and we're going to try to get a hold of Levin Camacho on this as well at some point. There is 47 attorneys general are investigating Facebook on antitrust violations. And so this is going to be the beginning of a big lawsuit because it doesn't matter. Zuckerberg's going to want to get out of this, so he's going to cry for settlement and pray on the mercy of the court, and then just start giving all these states and municipalities and Guam money, the same way that we're going after the PFAS people, right? And who else are we also in? It's PFAS. There's another class action that we're involved in, right? Well, this will be the third because Levin Camacho and other state attorney generals all across the country are now going after Zuckerberg and Facebook because they're worth more money than the Vatican, and so we're going to be standing in line. We've already got our marks out. God bless you, Levin. And he's like, yeah, whatever on this on the deal over at the Supreme Court. Yeah, you guys do whatever you want. I'm going to see if I can get Guam some money out of Facebook. Right on, buddy. I appreciate that. 6:23 in the morning, and as we say good morning to Mike Nicholas and Mark Zuckerberg, there's some other people we got to say hello to.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
All right, top 10 this morning. I got Big Al Bautista, number one again, Al. Way to go. J.B. St. Nicholas online. I got John Rages, Dennis Ben-Sur at number 4. Hannah Gamboa, that's the Mrs. Commissioner down in Agate, is coming in at number 5. Tony and Ned and Pinko Ada. Ken Leon, Guerrero Hafalai, Heather Perez, and Nate Horn, and Nick Pulaski round out the top 10 this morning. I'm going to do a special shout-out to Patty Clodfelter, because I'm not sure that I'd be able to get to that name, because there just seems to be so much going on here today. And what else is happening? Well, let me see. I got Vince Duenas and Roland Torres, Charlene Marchessault, and Lillian Cruz are online, Scott Nelson. Stephen Stetton Bet says, half a day and good morning, everybody. James Howard says 1.1 million. We had 3 million in that safe. I'm not sure. What's he talking about? I know what he's talking about. He's talking about the meth guy that's in the front of the news, right? Where we've got there's a guy, $1 million case, and now a federal set of indictments have been set up against him. More on that in a couple of minutes. Who else is playing around here? Donis Quito Mendiola, Mr. Stettenbetz. Good morning, and that's the response from Roy Gamboa. Ted Lewis is online. Yes, that Ted Lewis. Joy and Pinko and Ada Vasquez watching the program from the west coast of the United Snakes of America. Colleen Tabilas. Hey, Colleen, nice to see you there. Gwen Timeglu is online. Ismail is there. We were hoping the UN would emancipate us from the U.S. Is that your excuse for showing up late today, Ismail? Is it? I've got the title of the program today is Ready, Fire, Aim, and that is an acknowledgement now of the front page story that the Davis case extension has been missed. Homer. It's now Mission Impossible. That's a story. We got Mike Phillips, who says that we were looking around at this, and apparently we have missed the extension in the Davis Supreme Court case, and the story is that he says, I believe it's extremely doubtful the U.S. Supreme Court will entertain the appeal. Hard time entertaining the appeal if you don't get the paperwork in on time.
It shows how important the issue was to them.
Thanks, Mom. That's like the total mom thing. Yeah, if this was really important, you would have worked on it a little bit sooner instead of waiting until the last minute like you always do. So here's this is what I'm going to be looking for from among the mass international audience of Facebook followers and Point listeners this morning. Please provide to me a list of excuses that we can give the U.S. Supreme Court for missing the deadline. I've got a couple that might help prime the pump a little bit. My dog was throwing up.
Nice.
Right? Because you know how it is. You know how it is. You got kids. You got dogs and stuff. The dog got sick, and you can't function when the dog is sick. You got to take it to the vet. So the dog was throwing up, and so we missed the deadline. Sorry, Mr. Supreme Court of the United States of America. I couldn't meet your deadline because the dog. Or try this one. There's a restaurant in Agania. I can't remember the name of it. It's one of these Mexican restaurants, and they've got these really massive burritos. You know which one I'm talking about, right? Caliente. And they've got these massive burritos. They're bigger than the plate that they come on. And if you eat the whole thing, I swear to God, you can't move for a week. You cannot get off the couch. You can't get out of bed. It's just, just get this big lump of burrito in you, and you absolutely cannot move. That's why, Mr. Supreme Court, we missed the deadline here and couldn't find my keys. I usually put them on the counter, stick them on top of the refrigerator when I walk in the house, but all of a sudden I couldn't find the keys, had to look all over the place, and that's why we missed the deadline. Or this one here. How many times bosses will hear this? Bosses will hear this. I'm sorry I missed the deadline. I had really bad cramps. Or diarrhea or UTIs, because the boss is not going to want to hear about any of that stuff. We'll just go, yeah, okay.
It's a storm.
Fine, I don't want to hear about your diarrhea. I don't want to hear about your UTIs. Fine, just turn in the paperwork and don't be late again.
We should just blame it on Fiesta. Just say we were too busy in Fiesta, man, and it just slipped by.
Planning FestPac. We were too busy planning our FestPac delegation to be able to meet the simple requirements of filing the paperwork with the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I'm just saying, Sahara, don't do that to me. She has sent me a picture. Sahara Defensor in Washington, D.C. has sent me a picture of Mike Sinicolas sharing the same space as Zuckerberg, but she says it's embargoed. Ooh, that's just, I might have to do one of those things where I beg forgiveness instead of asking permission to use that picture. Who else playing around online this morning? Andy Camacho's there. Dear Supreme Court Justices, please excuse our late filing. We're on Chamorro time. I love you, Andrew. Marilu Bersimmons online. So is Joe Cruz. Jan Mabini is hanging out. So is Gabrielle Williams. Hello, pretty. Nice to see you online this morning. Ismail, dear Supreme Court, you're mistaken on the deadline because our today is your yesterday. Keena McCausland, that's right. Worst comes to worst, just go over the deal on the difference between stateside time and Guam time. Anna Iriarte Cho, Director Cho is online. I'm sorry, so let me stumble over that while I get through. Carl T.C. Gutierrez. There's Mark Cruz waving at everybody. Dave Torrey is online. What's exciting today, Dave? We got to go over the pick'ems for the week number 8. My God, it's week 8 already of the National Football League. That's cool. The polls are shifting east rapidly, according to James Tyron. Dave Torrey says Gibson Tyron 2020. I appreciate that, but as usual, I have to say, if nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve. I am instead throwing all of my support. In fact, I volunteered to be treasurer of an upcoming get-together between. There's a couple of pictures that were floating around yesterday. One of them, and I want to say floating around, and almost want to say viral. But it was just too funny not to leave alone. So Jimmy Moylan starts sending around a picture of him standing in front of the emblem, the legislative seal at the legislature. He sends this picture out of him and Mary Torres. Well, I took one look at the picture, and when I was done laughing about the possibilities, sent it over to our graphic guy Ryan Hawaiian and said, "Hey Ryan, do me a favor, make this look like a political ad." And he did. And I tell you what, it doesn't look terrible. Although I'm getting a little bit of pushback from people that I've sent this to that's on Facebook that said, "No, you got it wrong. It should be Torres Moylan."
See, that's kind of what I thought because of the experience.
The experience and really, if anybody's got a shot at unseating Lulio and Guerrero over at Adelup, it's going to be Mary Torres. Right. So Mary Torres and Jimmy Moylan. Is this the beginning? Is this the genesis of a new campaign? And if it is, I want to take full and complete credit for it. So there you go. There is the first of the pretend Moylan Torres or Torres Moylan's political ads for 2022. And I guarantee there are people that saw this last night that work at Adelup that have not slept a wink.
Do you know what occurred?
Just up all night, just tossing and turning, going, what does Gibson know?
What occurred to me when I looked at this picture is the year 2022.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. Where did the other years go?
It's that close, my friend. It is that when we start talking about gubernatorial politics and the rate at which it comes at you on Guam, it is kind of amazing. Darlene Blas is there. Win Tahito, half a day to Tom Tahazi. Tom, am I going to see you at quiz night? Tomorrow, wow, tomorrow night over at the Sheraton is quiz night already. Bob Lazama, Rick Leone, Randy Kruger's online doing Shaka Sign. I see Paris Mendiola Blas. Hello, Paris. We'll always have Paris. ZZ Tatminglu says, Buenas todos from Hawaii. Nice. Andre Bainham is online this morning. ZZ says, good morning, Mana and Ray. Oh, now you get top billing. That's cool. Andre Bainham, Simon Sanchez, parent teacher conferences today. Come on over, parents. And in fact, remind me, I've got it. It's all high schools today for parent-teacher conferences. There are a couple though that are not having their PTCs. Joey Chofrus is online, and as I said, there's Mary Lou Bersimmons' name coming up again. Melissa Salas Akimoto is there. Ken LG says, "I'm sorry, Supreme Court of the United States, we missed your deadline because we were distracted by the UN." Randy Kruger says, "Couldn't find my pen." Dave Torrey says, "I'm sure the paperwork will be turned in on time for FestPac." You think? Yes, I absolutely do. Let me just get through this quickly here. Pat Sejo is online. Ron and Cindy De La Rosa. Hello, classmates. Alfredo Mendoza. Sorry, Mr. Supreme Court, I couldn't decide what font style to use to wow you with my report. Ken LG, our power was out, so we couldn't print our extension request. Here we are out in the fringes of democracy. Rose Greeno, Tim Lujan's online. Greg Karabrock, Troy Torres. Hey, cousin Troy. Love to hear what you think the excuses are going to be from Adelup on how it is possible we missed the deadline. It's like we missed the deadline. We should have been filing the paperwork, but instead we were writing the address and filming the address that needed to go out. And
we can always tell them we missed the deadline because it was taking a long time to translate it from Chamorro to English.
There we go. As I said, cousin Troy's online and a few other people, but what is it? Nick saying, but Jim has been the vocal one with the people in mind. Torres has been awfully quiet. The Mary Torres has just been working on a few other things. Bennett Lujan Duenas is there. Oh, and I'm getting a note here. We got to keep an eye on the phone. According to Sahara, somebody is calling now. Apparently, the meeting with the Zuckerberg has been concluded now, and Mike Sinicholas may be in a position to ring us up here on the program. 6:34. We'll get into headlines in just a little. I'll go ahead and grab this. Good morning, Congressman Mike. How you doing?
Oh, wow, that's pretty quick there, Ray.
Well, I got the note from Sahara that said you were calling, so I'm giving Michael Knight a second off. I can answer the phones myself in here, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was like, whoa, there's Ray, and where's Michael?
It's all right. Michael's over there, and he's darn glad that you're thinking about him and missing him this morning. Anyway, so just I know that you're busy and busy presiding over get-togethers with Zuckerberg and cryptocurrencies, cyber currencies, that kind of thing. Give me the rest of the nature of that meeting that you had presided over today.
Well, it was the Financial Services Committee, and the big boss man of Facebook himself, Mark Zuckerberg, came to testify before the committee and answer questions. And it was a full house, and it was a full day. All the members had questions for him. A lot of it, I'd say maybe 10% of it was focused on Libra and cryptocurrency, and the remaining 90% of it was focused on various individual members' concerns with some of Facebook's privacy policies, some of Facebook's advertising requirements, and just some of the hardships that Facebook has been through over the years in terms of public perception and some of the violations that they've had to face. So,
well, I mean, the New York
free for all, really.
Yeah, I was going to say New York and 47 other municipalities, counties, and states and territories, including Guam, are all lined up on an antitrust suit against Zuckerberg and Facebook. Did that come up today?
Not in particular. A lot of it was more focused on just some of the individual practices of Facebook, like redlining and discriminating on housing ads and helping the Russians and all those kind of really hot-button issues. But no one brought up any specific court cases, I think, because if we did, his lawyers would have probably immediately told him he couldn't say anything.
Right. That's not the place definitely not the place that you want to kind of incriminate yourself. Well, it has been interesting. There conversations about to what degree they are looking over ads that are placed. I want to say that somebody on the Democratic side, on the Democrat platform, recently put in definitely fake ads, and those were accepted without question by Facebook. And the thinking was that there was supposed to be somebody curating those ads and doing fact checking and things like that, and that certainly was not the case. Did that come up in the conversation?
That actually was talked about quite a bit by a number of members, and they were concerned because Facebook has recently said their position is that they're not going to be fact-checking whether or not political ads are accurate. And Mr. Zuckerberg stated plainly several times that he believes that if politicians want to lie, then that's the fault of the politician, and it should be up to the people to be able to, eventually discern that, so they can get to know the true character of the person trying to mislead them. And I felt like there was merit to what he was saying. Some members are more concerned about, people can just spread misinformation and you're going to willingly facilitate it. But, he's walking a fine line between making sure that freedom of speech and expression is not being abridged, especially when it comes to, politics and elections. And so, I can see where he's coming from. I can also see where some of my fellow members are coming from with their concerns about, blatant lies by opposing parties. But, I guess because I'm from Guam and I face it quite often. I'm kind of just used to it, so it doesn't matter to me one way.
I was going to say, it seems like there are members of the media, some media, and certainly everybody in the deep state of the Democratic Party seems hell bent against you in particular. If you don't mind, I've asked Sahara, but she hasn't gotten me the answer yet. Is it okay if I put up the picture of you shaking hands with Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah, sure. I was gonna press it out and kind of talk about what we covered today. But
me first, but always Ray first, Mike. I'm your biggest fan in the media here on Guam, so it's always got to be me first.
You're the only one that I actually send through Facebook Messenger. Everybody else has a different channel.
There you go. There we go. So, if you're watching on Facebook Live this morning, there's Mike Nicholas, who presided over this meeting in his committee and shaking hands with Mark Zuckerberg. He didn't happen to put any money in your hand when he shook it, did he?
A Facebook coin.
I hope that it was digital and it automatically deposited, and I'm going to check my account and find a huge, six-figure sum or something.
Six-figure segment, whatever it takes to right size the budget here in the government of Guam. I think that would work out. Hey, a couple of things that are going on here this morning, and you're drawing a little bit of flack from some of the usual suspects about your comments on the plebiscite. And now I don't know if you've caught this story here, but the extension to file, we've missed apparently the deadline on the extension to file with the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Certainly one of the more embarrassing things to happen in this case. And I think adding fuel to your side of the conversation, where it's, forget about the Supreme Court of the United States. Don't bother spending any money on perhaps one of the most expensive lawyers that we've got in this town. Why don't we just go ahead and have the plebiscite and let everybody vote?
Yeah, Ray, this is something that I've actually mulled over for many, many years, and I've gone back and forth on it. But at the end of the day, I ask myself, I say, can we really move our island forward if only a certain group of people are deciding which direction to go? And what's going to happen to our island after that? If it's a direction that a majority or a plurality of one group don't want to take and they feel like they're completely disenfranchised, we're going to put our community through decades, if not generations, of strife and contention and resistance and animosity. Or we can say, let's go all in this together, and let's make a strong case for what we feel is the best course of action, and trust that everybody who calls Guam home is going to make the best decision for our home collectively. And that's something that I think, I believe in, and I don't want to set us on a course of greater division for generations. I think that bringing us together on this issue is something that will pay off over the long term.
Ken Leon Guerrero chiming in this morning says Mike St. Nicholas's comments on the vote is the only one that makes any sense here. A couple of other interesting things that are going on, and I'd note here with I'm almost positive they did it, just because it's fun. But the Republicans here on Guam are calling on the Democrats here on Guam to follow them in supporting you and your measure. I forget the number, 1835, I think, out in Washington, D.C., as opposed to the local routine that still seems to be fashionable among some members of the Democratic Party and Adelup here.
Yeah, the actual number is 1365, 1365, and
there we go.
I continue to just observe kind of in a daze about how how difficult it is to just get everybody to say, yeah, let's just do this. You know, I mean, this is a technical fix. My predecessors have worked very hard to get us, you know, to a certain point. This last hurdle will finish everything off. And everybody back then going through this whole process was all on board, no complaints, no local measure to go a different direction. It was all, you know, all on board. Now all of a sudden we're right here at the finish line, and everybody wants to do things differently. And I'm like, why? I mean, this is a technical fix to a path that we've been on for decades.
You got to ask yourself, Mikey. You got to ask yourself if Madeline Bradalio was still in Washington D.C., would she be facing this kind of opposition from Adelup and the legislature? If things were as they were before, if it wasn't you, but it was Madeline, would this still be a big deal?
I think that the entire island of Guam knows the answer to that question. I feel like I've heard more about Congress and about contention and you know, attacks in the last 10 months than I have in the last, you know, 26 years. I mean, I don't even think Dr. Underwood had it this bad. So, you know, I mean, but you know, come what may, I'm here. This is my job. If it's going to be this rough, you know, I'm just going to pray that eventually, you know, we're going to come to calmer waters. But it is what it is, and I don't understand why, you know, we need to cause this much distress in our community when this is the same path we've been on for such a long time, and we're just trying to close a loop on the last part of it. I mean, let's just cross the line together. You know?
Right, but doesn't look like they want it to go that way. 6:43 in the morning. Miguel, congrats. I think it's a big deal. I don't know. I'm glad that I've got the first dibs on the photograph of it. But I'm kind of excited that you were the guy leading the meeting that took place in Washington D.C. with Mark Zuckerberg. I think that's kind of a big deal for you.
Yeah, our Chairwoman Waters actually was chairing a majority of the hearing, but I was definitely able to catch maybe the last 10-15% of it and participate a little bit in some of the closing remarks. So she's been so gracious. She really loves Guam and trying to give us as much exposure as she can afford.
Nice.
And you know, it's just really great because, you know, I mean, when does Mark Zuckerberg ever get to listen to a guy from Guam, you know, kind of giving him guidance on how best to address, you know, the concerns of the nation? I mean, I think it's pretty fabulous for our island, and it's just a very humbling honor to be able to do this for our people.
Will there be a link? Is the media section over at the House going to be able to publish the goings on? Will we be able to go back and take a look at this on demand?
Yes, the House Financial Services Committee does have a YouTube channel. I'll be able to send you the link to this as soon as we get off. And my team, too, they're very good at pulling the actual relevant clips and putting it together. And once we get that on our website, we can share that link, too.
You the man. You the man. Mike Nicholas, Congressman, I appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks, Ray. Anytime.
All right, Bo. It's 6:44 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TALK. Well, how about that? There's a breaking news here. So Mike Nicholas and shaking hands with Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook. I think that's kind of a big deal. Let me just fawn over here.
We should have asked him if he could put in the request to take Candid News out of Facebook jail.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
Because they're calling you know what?
Because he's talking about, you know, you don't want to.
It's not the stories that they're
You don't
covering.
want to infringe on freedom of speech, but they put Candid News in Facebook jail all the time.
Yeah, but I think it's the language. I think maybe, you know, it's this.
Well, it's in the freedom of expression, isn't
we've known Troy all of his life. I didn't realize the Tourette's was as bad with him, or maybe it's the part where they're eating and he's talking with his mouth open. I don't know. Maybe there's food in his mouth. Maybe that's what gets him in Facebook jail. At any rate, we have not yet, and I'm trying to decide whether we want to do it now or just keep going with the program as we've already got it. We have not done headlines. We've actually got to do something. We've got to take some kind of a break here because there's sponsors and things like that. So we'll do just a quick round of headlines with Montesilva Tyrant and news from the Guam Daily Post.
Governor Leon Guerrero will leave it to Mike Phillips to decide how to proceed in the appeal of the court's decision on Guam's plebiscite law. The district court and the Ninth Circuit have ruled the local law racist and unconstitutional, but the governor sought to file an appeal in the Supreme Court. Attorney Phillips says it might be mission impossible as Guam missed the 10-day window to ask for an extension to file its appeal. And Congressman Mike St. Nicholas taking part in a hearing today with the Financial Services Committee and listened to testimony from Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg. St. Nicholas told The Point that the conversation focused on cryptocurrency and Facebook privacy policies and advertising requirements and other problems and issues faced by Facebook. And those are your headlines this hour.
Thanks very much. iConnect time is 6:46 in the morning. You're looking for a job? They've got one waiting for you. If you're self-motivated, energetic, and outgoing, iConnect is looking for the right people to be part of their corporate sales team. So if you got the experience, you got great communication skills, and like to play on a team, you're encouraged to apply. Send your resume to hr@iconnectguam.com or visit their main office in Micronesia Mall where you can pick up an application. iConnect is an equal opportunity employer.
Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Kelaguen Hapa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mescla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mescla, a true taste of Guam.
6:47 in the morning, and not much by way of traffic here. You are going to find some traffic slowing you down southbound, just in front of Dededo as you're making your way past Wai-Seng-Song. A little bit of a traffic lag getting into the other intersection over by Route 27 by the Harmon Loop Road. What have we got here? Micronesia Mall traffic slowing down around that area, mostly at the intersection of 1 and 3. Intersection at the mall moving a little bit slower in front of Jollibee. But once you're past that, most of southbound traffic is looking pretty good. A little bit of traffic trying to get in and out of the Tumon area. If you're going up Santos Hill over by Duty Free, expect some delays through there, and a little bit of a delay working just before you get past. Looks like the Hyatt area. Not much by way of traffic up and down the Kmart intersection, though you might find some right there as people are trying to get into and out of John F. Kennedy High School. Don't forget parent-teacher conferences for the high schools today, and that is about it. Now, Mana says there might be a little bit of a traffic issue down in the Kenyatta area. So if you've
they
got...
shut down the road. In fact, we did just get a notice from GWA that they've extended that water outage till noon today. So when I was leaving this morning, they shut down that road, and that's kind of where people divert to go to Harvest and San Vicente area.
Yeah.
So
Carbolito.
if you frequent that area, you're going to be turned around right now, and you might be a little bit late for school or
Expect
work.
some delays. Yeah, I don't see any major traffic problems on that roadway right now. But then we haven't really
Still
opened the
early,
doors
yeah.
over at Harvest. Yeah, 6:48 in the morning, and that's Right Now traffic here on The Point.
Want 10% off your next flight to the U.S.? Now through October 31, receive 10% off select United Airlines flights to the U.S. when you purchase your ticket with your United credit card or United Mileage Plus credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Use promo code FHB019 when booking your flight. With a travel sale like this, you could wake up to a different sunrise in any part of the U.S. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 19 to learn more. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
Bringing you closer to the action. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
There we are, 649-888-8255, 888-TALK. That's nice. Ismael online says, it's the Mutiny Pledge. Guam Dems versus Mike St. Nicholas. Sure feels like that. It's not Mutiny Pledge. It's the Unity Pledge. Come on, buddy. Stay with the program. Chris Chip online and early says, I'm not a big fan of Mike St. Nicholas, but I will give credit where credit is due. I recognize common sense and what is right, and it seems like Mike is going down that road. Some interesting artwork from Clay Doe here this morning on the Facebook Live. That's nice. Smug talking about homeless Russians. And this is something we'd heard a little bit more about. Apparently, we were a big magnet for asylum seekers for Russians. And naturally, they come to Guam and they don't know anybody around here. It's not like they can just say, I'm in and be able to get one of those sweet Gov Guam jobs. So a lot of them now are running into issues where they might have had some means of support early on in the asylum process. It looks like in many cases that support has dried up on them, and they are being forced to be homeless in the community. Don't know what to do about that other than kind of round them up and ask them maybe if they want to rethink this asylum thing. Dennis Ben-Sor, I love this. He says, at King's, eating Spam, reading the Post, listening to Ray. Does it get any better than this? Actually, it does. You could actually be here in the studio and bringing that Spam out in this part of that would be nice, right? Some dried, fried Spam would be sweet. Lou Barrett's there. Phil Schrage from the Micronesia Mall, sweetest smelling mall on Guam. Nice to see you there, buddy. 6:51 in the morning. So you've got the telephone numbers. Don't be shy about calling in and using them. Bob K. is on the line. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Ray.
Where are you at?
I'm sitting in a traffic jam in Arkansas between Texarkana and Little Rock.
What an amazing venture you seem to be on. That's nice. Well, I keep you distracted from the traffic jam and give you something to chew on. Yesterday, we spent some time talking about this Supreme Court case. Now, on the appeal of the Davis case, and I was able to riff on that and your comments for most of the morning. And now it almost sounds like it really shouldn't make any kind of difference at all, as the Davis case extension has been missed. I don't yet have an idea of what the excuses are going to be coming out of Adelup, but that's what we've got. Gov Guam missed the deadline to petition the Supreme Court. And as I started yesterday, the next question is, what do we do now, Kimosabe?
Well, I think we probably aren't going to be able to use the excuse that the dog ate my petition. That one probably won't work. And according to what I read in the paper, Mike Phillips saying that it would require a showing of extraordinary circumstances to have an extension granted. Now, it looks like that would not be a possibility. Thus, the only two possibilities left. One would be for Phillips to go into panic overdrive between now and the day that the actual deadline for the filing of the petition occurs. And the other one would be, Howard Trapp suggested that a petition for rehearing at the 9th might lie. So it may very well be that the time to file a petition for rehearing has not run, and it may very well be that the time after which to file a petition for writ of cert after a writ of rehearing would start again. So we'd have a second chance. The unfortunate thing about that, of course, would be, it costs a lot more money. And the first alternative would mean that Phillips is probably going to be pretty well locked into the arguments that he made before the 9th, which didn't get us anywhere then.
Yeah, well, what are the chances, Bob, that the Ninth Circuit would take up a rehearing on this? It sounds to me like their conclusions had a certain ring of finality to them.
True enough, and I think that would be a long shot also, but it may very well be that the time in which to file a writ of certiorari to the Supremes might start after the denial of a petition for rehearing. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, any port in a storm here, I think, is the view that they're going to have. Otherwise, you just kind of look at this and say, maybe the universe is trying to tell you something.
Yeah. Well, when you set the wheels of litigation in motion, you must not only do the right thing, but you must do things right. And if you don't, there oftentimes are some really high prices to pay.
Well, and
it looks like that's what's going on here.
And even when we do, I mean, I keep hearing the words of Levin Camacho and his warnings about what some of the risk could be. I mean, we've got the whole Chamorro Land Trust that whole entire concept could be upended depending on whether or not we got the right conversation and the right judges to hear the case at the Supreme Court.
That's right, because the trial court in the Ninth decided the case on the 15th Amendment as a voting rights case, and not on a due process or better yet, an equal protection basis under the 14th Amendment. So if one of the justices steers the court in the direction of the 14th, then certainly the land trust would be at risk, and maybe a few other things that we like so well.
Interesting. So I mean, that's basically what Mike Phillips says in the Daily Post today may actually ring true. At this point, he said Guam's case could be mission impossible. There are a couple of workarounds, but it seems to me that workarounds and loopholes are not the stock in trade of the United States Supreme Court.
No, it's a hard uphill fight at best under the best circumstances, and to start out 3 or 4 laps behind in a 1 mile race is probably not a very good way to be the first one across the finish line.
I think we're going to leave it at that. I'm going to return you to your traffic jam out in Texarkana and try not to bug you for the remainder for the balance of your vacation.
Anytime I can be of assistance to the point, Ray, you can count on me.
God bless you. God bless you. Former judge and senator, former senator, and always Marine Bob Klitsky. Always fun talking with you.
Thank you, Ray.
Have a good time. 888-8255-888-TALK. See, this is the part of the program. I'm actually trying to live up to the logo phrase that we've got in that commercial there that says, talk radio that matters. This is some important and kind of weighty stuff. And if for no other reason, just underscores now the issue here. We've got this case, the Davis case, and everybody seems to think it is the biggest case in the whole wide world. And there was all kinds of commissions and get-togethers and people printing Deport Dave Davis T-shirts and things like that. And then just as we were about to go to the United States Supreme Court, highest court in the land, the last court of the land, we realized that somebody forgot to file the paperwork. And you just go, so what was all that about? What was it? Was it all just kabuki? Was it all just optics so that people could stand in front of the camera so that we could spend time and money and airplane fuel to get to the United Nations? Was that all it was? You would think if it was as important as spending the $300,000 in educational money that was coming from the Fed, that they probably would have taken the 10 minutes to fill out some paperwork to the Supreme Court.
Now who's being the mom?
I'm sorry. Well, you know what it is? You know what's in my head? This is what's in my head. It's parent-teacher conference week here. Oh. They had that for the elementary kids, had it for the middle school. Today is the high school. High school mom and dads, if you got kids, then you're probably supposed to show up somewhere and find out just how good your little Johnny and your little Sally have been with their marks and with their classmates at school. So figure out where it is that you're supposed to go and what time you're supposed to do it and get it done. All right, closing in on the top of the hour here. I got Fox News Live coming up here in just seconds. Is it? Becky wants to talk. I don't have to. We don't. Becky, you want to talk about quiz night? I've only got a minute.
I know, but that's all the time we need because we only basically have 2 tables left because 2 people backed out, 2 teams backed out. So if you're interested, people need to call 647-4667 or 565-6480.
647-4667?
Mm-hmm. And leave a message if you can't get through, or email us at habitat@qn.com. Gmail.
It's go to the Habitat for Humanity Guam's Facebook page, and all of the information is up there on a flyer that my buddy Redden put together. Everything that you need to know. Room for 2 more teams, so you and 5 other people, or somebody else and 5 other people, need to get going because we need you there in your seats tomorrow at about 5 o'clock for the exciting fall version, the Halloween version of Quiz Night. I'll spend some time in the next couple of hours talking about that, Beck. You got to get to school. We got to get Fox News Live on.
A turbulent day on Capitol Hill. Lisa Brady, Fox News. The latest impeachment testimony delayed for hours as Republican lawmakers staged a sit-in. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on the Hill.
The testimony from Deputy Assistant Defense Secretary Laura Cooper was delayed hours after dozens of Republicans demanded a seat inside a secured room called a skiff.
Don't say members can't see the transcript. This is the ridiculous stuff that's going on. And as I said, members have had it. They've had it with this.
The top Oversight Committee Republican Jim Jordan accuses Democratic leaders of violating due process. California Democrat Ted Lieu's testimony in a secure setting is essential.
When you're doing investigations into potential criminal conduct, you do it in secure facilities, not open to the public. that's what we're doing.
Democrats also raised security concerns after some Republicans entered that secured skiff with cell phones. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. Well, support for the impeachment inquiry hitting a new high, 55% in the latest Quinnipiac poll. President Trump says the allegations are politically motivated.
I have witch hunts every week. I say, what's the witch hunt this week? They can't beat us at the ballot box. They cannot beat us at the ballot box.
At a shale energy conference in Pittsburgh, also emphasizing his administration's efforts to boost domestic energy production, including fracking. Some of his Democratic rivals are calling for a nationwide ban on fracking. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg spending all day on Capitol Hill, pitching the plan for a new digital currency while defending a variety of policies, including the decision not to fact-check political ads.
The very small percent of our business that is made up of political ads does not come anywhere close to justifying the controversy that this incurs for our company. So this really is not about money.
Zuckerberg acknowledges making a lot of mistakes, but he's urging lawmakers not to stifle innovation. America is listening to Fox News.
Join Nissan Guam on November 3rd as we try to break the Guinness World Record of 250 Nissan vehicles in a motorcade. Register now for only $10 with proceeds going to select charities and get a free World Record Driver t-shirt. Plus, be entered into our raffle giveaway for a chance to win a $1,000 travel voucher from United Airlines and more. Registration is open to the first 370 people and closes November 1st. So hurry. Register online at NissanGuam.com or visit our showroom today. No purchase necessary to enter. Raffle conditions apply. See Nissan Guam for details.
Konnichiwa! We'll be celebrating the 40th Japan Autumn Festival on Saturday, November 16th from 2 until 9 at the Governor Joseph Flores Beach Park. That's Ipao Beach Park. Parking will be available across Oka Payless with free shuttle service every 15 minutes starting at 1:30. Advance tickets available now at the Japan Club of Guam office located on the first floor of Pia Marine during business hours. The Japan Autumn Festival at Ipao Beach Park, November 16th from 2 to 9. Come join us. For information, call 646-8066. This message made possible by Choice Broadcasting.
President Trump defending his strategy in Syria.
The nations in the region must ultimately take on the responsibility of helping Turkey and Syria police their border.
Claiming success after speaking with Turkey's president and a Kurdish general this morning.
Facing harsh criticism from both Republicans and Democrats for his abrupt decision to pull all U.S. forces out of northern Syria, the president claimed a breakthrough, saying the temporary 5-day ceasefire on Turkey's border with Syria is now permanent.
By the moves that we've made, we're achieving a much more peaceful and stable area between Turkey and Syria, including a 20-mile wide safe zone.
The president said sanctions the U.S. imposed on Turkey would be lifted unless something happens that, in the president's words, we're not happy with. The ceasefire comes a day after Turkey and Russia announced they had reached a separate deal for control of northeastern Syria.
Fox's John Decker at the White House. The teacher strike in Chicago is now 1 week old. Picketers descending on the city's business district today as new mayor Lori Lightfoot unveiled her first budget proposal.
The mayor's promised the teachers a pay increase of 16% and up, but the teachers have a long list of demands, starting at guarantees for smaller classes, a nurse and a librarian in every school, and a supplement for housing. The mayor said today the city's looking at an $838 million budget shortfall. She already told the teachers there's no money to meet their demands, and under Rahm Emanuel, the people of Chicago were already hit with a property tax increase.
Residents don't want to see their property taxes increased. And who can blame them?
Now, the teachers have a lot of public support, but so does Mayor Lightfoot. She was elected not too long ago by a landslide.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Chicago. Game 2 of the World Series tonight in Houston after the Washington Nationals took Game 1 in their World Series debut. Lisa Brady, this is Fox News.
Did you know that home loan rates have plunged again? Would you like to take advantage of these lower rates to help lower your monthly payments? Refinancing doesn't have to be for another 30 years. It can be for 10, 15, or 20 years. It's up to you. Reduce your monthly payments. Pay off your loan earlier. At Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender. Credit conditions apply.
We understand what matters to you because at Docomo Pacific, we're a family too. With the Now Family program, mom, dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices the whole family can enjoy. For just $155 a month, get 3 lines with 30 gigs of 4G LTE data each. and endless use of your favorite apps without affecting your monthly data bucket. Add more, get more, save more. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
It's a one-of-a-kind wine fundraiser. Guahan Sustainable Culture presents Wine in the Garden. The Hamamoto Gardens help support food sovereignty, security, and sustainability while sipping wines from around the world, surrounded by 50-some acres of beautiful farm and garden. Tickets are $75 each. Proceeds support education and outreach on how important, easy, and fun sustainable practices can be. Wine in the Garden is on Saturday evening, October 26, starting at 5. For more details, go to our website, gusustainable.org, or call 687-6491.
7 o'clock news from the Guam Daily Post is being brought to you by Proline Automotive, customizing Guam's finest rides, located in the Harmon Industrial Park.
Off a day and good morning. Here are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Governor Lulian Guerrero will leave it to Mike Phillips to decide how to proceed in the appeal of the court's decision on Guam's plebiscite law. The District Court and the Ninth Circuit Court have ruled the local law is racist and unconstitutional, but the governor sought to file an appeal in the Supreme Court. Attorney Phillips says, though, it might be mission impossible as Guam missed the 10-day window to ask for an extension to file its appeal. The governor announced on Monday GovGuam will appeal the Ninth Circuit's decision rejecting Guam's plebiscite law. Congressman Mike Sinicola is taking part in a hearing today with the Financial Services Committee and listened to testimony presented by Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg. Sinicola says the conversation focused on cryptocurrency and Facebook's privacy policy, as well as advertising requirements and other problems and issues faced by Facebook. Elsewhere in the news, the ministry to the homeless under the Archdiocese of Agana and formerly known as Kamalin Karidot has seen a rise in a number of Russian nationals seeking services in the last year. There are now approximately 10 to 15 Russians coming to the soup kitchen, with numbers fluctuating from day to day, according to Director of Communications Tony Diaz. The ministry began noticing the presence of Russian nationals about 2 years ago. One Russian asylum seeker is now suing the ministry over alleged violations of his rights. The suit is filed against Kamalin Karidot, seeking $500,000. Diaz had no comment on the lawsuit, but said the ministry and the Archdiocese will continue their mission of providing for individuals in need, regardless of their background. Guam has been a host to Russian nationals seeking asylum from their home country. Russians cannot enter the island visa-free through a waiver program, making the island a tempting destination for asylum seekers. However, President Donald Trump has ended that program. The Guam Daily Post spoke with one man about his experience seeking asylum on Guam. Most asylum seekers want to leave Guam for the States or pursue other opportunities. For some Russians, the island can be a prison, the man said. Homelessness is a real possibility for asylum seekers. More news after this.
Proline Automotive has everything to customize your whip. From custom wheels to Nankang tires or just hubcaps, they have it. Feel better that it's protected with a dash cover, car cover, seat covers, or floor mats. Visit Proline Automotive, located in Harmon Industrial Park.
GRMC's cardiology department treats most complex heart problems. In our catheterization lab, cardiologists use imaging equipment to treat clogged arteries that can cause heart attacks or heart failure. We perform balloon angioplasty, stenting, and other life-saving cardiac procedures. If you suffer from a heart condition, have your provider refer you to GRMC's cardiology clinic at 645-5500. GRMC, where patients are partners.
The defense has rested in the trial of former commissioners at the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, paving the way to closing arguments and a conclusion to the case. Closing arguments will take place next week on October 30th, followed by jury instructions, then deliberations. The last couple of weeks have seen witnesses testifying about alleged secret meetings in which GURA commissioners allegedly awarded millions of dollars in low-income housing tax credits. The commissioner is now facing misdemeanor charges of violations of the open government law. And the case involves the seizure of $1.1 million worth of drugs and firearms. And while court documents have been unsealed in the district court, few details have been released in the case against Ramon Meneses. Meneses faces charges of conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. In the federal case, He's pleaded not guilty in a Superior Court of Guam case on local charges of possession of Scheduled 1 and 2 controlled substances with the intent to deliver, as well as possession of a firearm without a firearms ID. According to Post files, police initially stopped Meneses in February for speeding. Subsequent searches of his car and home also led to the discovery of weapons, cash, and a large amount of drugs to include LSD, MDMA pills, marijuana, and drug ledgers. Police also allegedly discovered over 5 pounds of meth and 837 grams of marijuana. Meneses has asked to be released from jail in the local case, but the judge has denied that request, saying that he poses a risk to the community and a risk of fleeing. The defendant has dual U.S. and Philippine citizenship. And if you're in the Totu Cañada area of Barrigada, GWA will have water out there for several more hours. Crews have been working around the clock since the main line there burst yesterday. The roadway has been closed to traffic, so you can expect some traffic delays. Residents can expect their water to be restored by around noon today. And those are your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
Before we get into the weather here, because I've managed to lose it again, but the question that at least one person online is asking is GWA going to be sending a tanker out or something so that residents that...
they haven't said, but that's a good question.
Yeah, because it's been 24 hours now, at least since it has been out, and now they're talking about not having it done until about noontime today.
Correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with stinky parts that need to get that taken care of. 7:12 in the morning. We'll see what we can find out for you on Facebook Live right now. An image of the actual work that was being done. This was yesterday afternoon, and according to Monad, they are still at work this morning. If you use that road routinely to get your kids to San Vicente School or Carbolito or Harvest Elementary, which one way around whatever the Cold Cañada Totu Loop area is, expect delays as you might not be able to pass through that particular place. 7:12 in the morning, 5:57. The only thing I can remember off of today's weather forecast is that sunset tonight is going to take place at 5:57. Otherwise, it's a regular kind of Guam day, partly sunny skies out there, maybe some isolated showers, maybe some of what Mike calls island effect thunderstorms in the forecast for today.
No, there won't be any of that because
none of that.
The wind's going to be blowing much too hard for that. Clouds moving over right now. These are probably the most of the clouds that we'll see through the day today.
Mm-hmm.
These will clear out a little bit later on this morning, and then things will start to be very nice. The winds will begin to pick up as well. That is just a very short time away. Looking at the satellite here, we can see that trough approaching us. It's kind of like a backdoor cold front, but there's not enough cold air behind it. There is some drier air,
again.
though. Yeah, that's really what it's called, though. That's when it comes in from a side that it shouldn't. It's kind of moving retrograde. There's high pressure building in a retrograde motion, moving east to west. And usually weather systems and high pressures usually move from west to east because they're a little bit further to the north. So we can actually see some pretty good weather come out of this over the next few days. I sent you a pic this morning on the WhatsApp. I wanted you to put it up here because it's very cool. One of the rainbows that I sent.
Is that one?
No,
Last night
rainbows.
sunset?
No, rainbows.
It's from you.
Yes.
Rainbows, pretty rainbows.
There
we go. Okay, I see it. Oh, that is gorgeous.
These are called a supernumerary rainbow. And this is different. Now, you've heard of, singular rainbows, and you have double rainbows, which are also very cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is a supernumerary rainbow, and it's actually something I've never seen before. But this is caused by the light being reflected and refracted through several layers of cloud and ice crystals and visible from the person that's seeing them. And, of course, the sun is at their back, and it looks like it's very early in the morning or very late at night as well because you can't actually see any sunshine. So it's all up in the sky. Very, very cool picture. It was shared on WhatsApp. I think Pam shared that earlier, and so I thought I'd toss that in there and show us something that you may never, ever see in your life.
Yeah, and I'm glad somebody had the presence of mind and a camera around to be able to snap that picture. Of course, guys like Ismail and James Howard are going to say that's not natural phenomenon. That is alien technology at work.
Yeah, actually, it's probably HARP.
It meant to dazzle us and prevent us from doing important things like, filing the deadline, the extension paperwork with the Supreme Court of the United States in time for them to actually act on it. All right, 7:15 in the morning. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Hey, do you know what time the bank closes? I need to deposit my check.
You know you can do that from your phone.
I can?
With Bank of Guam's mobile app, it's easy. Just endorse the back and snap a pic to deposit it into your account. You can do this from anywhere, anytime, which means no rushing to catch the bank and no lines.
With Bank of Guam's mobile app and online banking, we're always open. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point, brought to you by a whole gaggle of really, really important people. I'll mention them now. American Present Lines, APL, has got a global presence and a local home. A team over at American Water Tech. I love these guys. In fact, we've got American Water Tech here in the building. And I got a big thing of Fiji water that I drank a long time ago. And it is I bring it back with me to work whenever it's empty because I like to get the fresh water, the American Water Tech thing, and be able to recycle and reuse that bottle.
Yeah, I brought my water bottles from home this morning just
Absolutely.
to do that one thing.
So I'm just taking them like a liter at a time. You're bringing in the 5-gallon things, right?
No. I've only got about a 2-gallon.
There we go. Portions of the program also being brought to you by the guys over at Guam Regional Medical City, the first stop for all of your specialty care needs. And, of course, Wendy's, where they're cooking up outstanding breakfast for you. Breakfast meat and eggs and rice, all of that for just $4. Applewood smoked bacon. We got country fried chicken and gravy, Portuguese sausage. It's really a fantastic breakfast platter and worth a couple of minutes to find the drive-thru. The real deal at breakfast is Wendy's. Now that's better.
Rediscover Talk Radio here. Your FM News Talk Superstation. This is The Point.
I don't know. You know, in all the excitement in the last hour, I forgot to put up a couple of other pictures. Pam sent a picture of the sunrise this morning, and not much by way of the sunrise. I went outside a couple of times to take a look at it and see if we were going to get as good a show today as we did yesterday, but we didn't. But the good news is the sun, it did come up. I mean, for those of you that were going to sleep last night with all kinds of problems in your head, like how are we going to get the Supreme Court to pay attention to us now that we've missed the deadline? The good news is the sun did come out this morning, so you've got every morning another opportunity to take on those challenges and to take on those roles. While I've got some time, let me take a look at what happened on the market. A little bit of a rally. Did that happen? S&P 500 in the green by 8 points to close at 3,004. NASDAQ at 81.19. They're up by 15 points. The big market here, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, 26,833, picked up 45 points. FTSE's green. The Nikkei is going to be opening up in the green, 22,625 for that market. Hang Seng backwards by 219 points at 26,566. We saw the same backwards action on the Shanghai. That index down by 12 points to close at 2941. The DAX is up by 43 points. And just because it's Thursday, it's time for the Bitcoin Report with Michael Knight.
Yeah, it was holding steady near 8,000 for most of the week and peaked at 7,987 yesterday, but it's nosedive a little bit more than $500 in just less than 24 hours. $7,485.22 today.
How much again?
$7,485.
Okay, all right. It sounds like it's made a couple of at least percentage, almost notable depreciation in value for the Bitcoin.
It really did. I mean, it just nosedived. I mean, just boom, just within an hour or two, $500. And of course, again, that's just due to manipulation.
All right. For those of you that buy fuel that is indexed to West Texas, that number is up. Yesterday, trading at $54.28. Today, up by almost 2.5%, a little bit over 2.5%. $55.87. That's an increase of about $1.59 in value for West Texas crude. We do buy our fuel is indexed against the 10-day average on West Texas, so that could be cause for guys over at the power company to kind of take another look at what we're doing with fuel. $65.03 for a barrel of Tapas yesterday. That number now $65.54. So that's up by 51 cents as well. And that's where we go when we're talking about what happened on the markets and some of the commodities that we've got. And Jerry Roberts is getting ready to do the extra point. That's coming up here in just a couple of seconds. And I always like to have other businessy things to talk about as we ramp into the Jerry Roberts segment of the program. And in this case, even though how do I want to say this? I am looking at it from a position of complete amused and bemusement here. The idea that such a big deal has been made about the Davis case. There were rallies. Remember, they had a walk from Antelope over to the courthouse, and there was a big get-togethers and guys flying off to the United Nations. And Dave Davis is not going to get the last word. We're going to the U.S. Supreme Court of the United States. But it's like when you travel someplace and you realize as you're stepping off the airplane, you forgot to make hotel reservations. Oh, crap, what do I do now? Huh? You get in the car and you rent a car and you realize that you don't know how to drive in Los Angeles. Oh my God, what do I do now? That's actually happened to me. But we're in a situation now where it's going to take a Herculean effort to undo what looks like somebody's impasse by forgetting to file the required paperwork with the United States Supreme Court. And so, as I say, for me personally, it's kind of amusing. But for other people, they might be taking it a little bit more seriously. And it brings up the question, and I'm going to ask Jerry Roberts to riff on this a little bit. Well, because I think
drawing me into your stuff.
Yes, I am, because it's
You're
funny
a
to me.
troublemaker.
I
now
am.
You want to drag me into yours thing.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. So
you're my boss, so go ahead.
But I believe that there is a riff already at GuamTraining.com on what to do when you've made a huge mistake, when you've committed just a massive blunder on the job. What is it that you're supposed to do to make it good?
First of all, we have to assume, you're assuming that a mistake was made. It may have been strategy.
Strategy? We'll do strategy?
Well, wait a second. Now, I'm just throwing something out here.
Okay, well,
Okay.
What would the strategy be?
Let's assume...
Let's hand the Republicans Adeloop.
No. I'm not sure that might be it. But let's say that you are trying to show certain groups of people that you were in their corner, that you're standing up for the rights of certain people. Perhaps that would be the position you're taking. And with the foreknowledge already, because you've been told that there are risks involved in doing these things, that it may not be successful.
So we slipped on purpose.
You're standing up for this group publicly because that's what you want to do for maybe political reasons.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All right. Well, shucks, we tried.
I don't know.
Oh, darn. Oh no.
So you're suggesting misdirection, sir?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
fake news.
I am not suggesting that would be exactly what happened in this case. But if it were, it wouldn't be the first time in political history where somebody had made a play like that for a particular purpose for future consideration.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
I'm just suggesting that could be it. On the other hand, it could be.
No. It's almost logical when you put it that way. We really tried. I mean, Dave Davis, he got us in the ninth, and we wanted to get to the Supreme Court, but wow, they've got unbreakable rules, and we just barely missed the deadline, and we did our best. We tried super, super hard. Sorry about that, and we're just going to have to go back to square one. Sorry about that, but can the activists continue to please support us in our new quest, the new and improved quest, the one that's better than the one before?
Maybe. Could be.
As I say, when you put it like that, it almost makes sense there. I see Wenwen's online. Nice to see you there. This is, incidentally, Wenwen's favorite part of the program. She loves Jerry Roberts and the Extra Point. We'll get to that in a second. Kenny Williams is on. Joe Cepeda. Hey, cousin Big Joey there. Sam Beanie is online saying, "Roll Tide" from Sam and Mel. Is it time to roll Tide? We're not in the college thing. Are they playing?
Oh, yeah.
Alabama's playing today?
Alabama's not playing real colleges, though. They kind of play girls' schools and
All
stuff
right.
like that.
Tide roll with, thanks very much, Sam Beanie. Appreciate that. Gina Kono is online on Facebook Live. I see Cousin Teddy over at the ranch. Yoich Rengil, my Palawan brother. Rudy Magallanes is there. And Mark Mendiola, Therese Uggen-Rigel. I think she's all done with the ironing in the house this morning. And I think that is very, very cool. Simon Sanchez from the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. And shouts, Simon, to the GWA guys that have been working on that leak in Kenyatta now for 24 hours. They're not going to stop until they get it all done. And I also want to do a shout to a couple of guys that came by the house yesterday and knocked on the door and said, yeah, and it's the GWA guys. And they said, we need access to your meter. And I thought, wait a second. I know for a fact the bill is paid. I know for a fact that I paid. In fact, I got a credit with GWA because I tend to overpay that bill.
Did you check credentials, or did you just let them in?
No, the meter's in the front yard.
Oh, okay.
So I said, the meter is right over there. Why do you need access to it? And the guy says, well, we're changing it. And I thought,
oh no!
I'm hoping that they're preemptively changing it as opposed to, yeah, we've got a problem with your meter. It's not counting enough water. And oh, by the way, that credit that you think we have with GWA.
$700 water bill next month.
But shouts to the guys that did the job fairly quickly. I didn't even notice the water was out. John Wigston's online. That's nice to see him. Dominic Uggen. Good morning to Carlos Barreto, Marvin Ike Isaki, and Rico Blanca Flores. Cheryl Miranda Mesa. That's my auntie Cheryl is online. Charlie Hermosa from AP APL is hanging out, and
Hey,
so
Charlie.
is Lillian Cruz. Good to have you guys out here. Now, I see Charlie Hermosa's, and you know, he's APL, a lot of stuff to do, ships coming in, ships coming out, and every once in a while we'll get into a conversation on how you kind of maximize your time, how you sort out what your priorities are going to be. And he didn't give me this, but in fact, I'm gonna, if you've never heard of this, Charlie and others, do a Google. I was looking at an ad on Instagram yesterday for one of these planners, right? These planning systems that they have, and one of the planning systems that they're pushing is a thing called the Eisenhower Matrix. Have you ever heard of the Eisenhower Matrix?
No.
It is a four-way matrix.
4 quadrants.
4 quadrants on it. And quadrant number 1 is important and urgent. And quadrant number 2 is important but non-urgent.
Yeah, this goes back to the thing called First Things First that Stephen Covey did.
Like that,
But
yeah.
since Eisenhower preceded Covey, maybe Covey got it from Eisenhower.
There's another quadrant, number 3, which is urgent but non-important, and then non-urgent and non-important is the last one.
Yeah.
So the urgent important one, there's a fire. Put it out. That should be your primary focus. If it's important but non-urgent, schedule that for later. We'll get around to doing that when I need to get around to doing that. And then you've got the other two, the urgent but not important. That's something that you would delegate. So it's like, I need to get it done. I don't need to do it, so Mike can go and do it. All right, and then the last one is non-urgent and non-important, which is basically put it in the trash. You don't need to worry about this. Just get it off your desk.
Yeah, no, I've been through this system for a long time. Now, what happens is the last one, non-urgent, non-important, we're pretty good about those.
Yeah.
Where we tend to spend most of our time is in the middle, too. The urgent but not important, and what's the third one?
The urgent and urgent, non-important, non-urgent but important.
Yeah, okay. So we spend most of our time there, and the urgent and important, we're pretty good about that.
Yeah.
But the trouble is we spend a lot of time in those middle two, and that's where we have problems with optimizing our time.
All right. So the question
urgent
sometimes
and not important, we tend to focus on that like it's urgent and important.
So and in my case, I think sometimes the tougher one is the delegation, because you're a boss, you're a supervisor, you kind of want to take care of everything on your own to make sure that it gets done the way that you want to do it. And sometimes those things that you should have delegated will often turn into the important and urgent tasks that will be a fire for you before too much longer, because you forgot to delegate it out to somebody else. Anyway, something to think about. The Eisenhower Matrix. Google it, and there's all kinds of places where you can do some PDFs and things like that. Try it out and see if it works for you and your particular management style. Karina Gutierrez-Ludwig's online. Charlotte Muntval-Cohen is there as well. And my buddy Joseph Leasealongi is online just in time for Jerry Roberts
before you do this, there's just a thing. I made an offhanded comment about Alabama's Crimson Tide playing girls' schools. Now, that's not original with me. You go online, you see it all the time. They do not play girls' schools. I'll make that statement right now. They do not. However, they made an offer to Father Duenas just recently to be on the schedule for next year. Not my problem. I'm just making the case.
Classic Batman stuff there. 7:29, and time for Jerry Roberts and the Extra Point, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank.
Where the answer is?
Yes.
What can we learn from public companies that have to report their earnings every 90 days? Today we'll look at how we might be able to apply the 90-day timeline to our own performance, and that's next on the Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
We buy a homeowner's policy and never give it another thought until something happens. Life brings changes, and our coverage needs can change. The smart thing to do is get the answers and level up our insurance to make sure we're totally protected.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Want 10% off your next flight to the U.S.? Now through October 31, receive 10% off select United Airlines flights to the U.S. when you purchase your ticket with your United credit card or United Mileage Plus credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Use promo code FHB019 when booking your flight. With a travel sale like this, you could wake up to a different sunrise in any part of the U.S. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 19 to learn more. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
Pity the poor CEO of those big publicly traded companies who are slaves to their stock price. They have to report earnings to the Wall Street investment market at the end of every quarter. If they fall short of expectations, the stock price could go down further as the investment gurus start talking about them, wondering what could be the problem there. That's not good because the stock price could slip even more and people could lose jobs, maybe even including the CEO. I was thinking about this 90-day period, and I began to wonder about annual performance reviews, goals, vision boards, and what we say to people in our organizations about being productive. Does the longer-term perspective actually hurt our chances for success? What about developing our list of goals and objectives? The majority of workers don't have a written list or plan. One of the reasons for that is that we have trouble seeing a year ahead. We're focused on what we're doing right now, and trying to project a year ahead seems more like guessing, and guessing is not good for goal setting. What if we discuss goals in terms of an overall plan to get from point A to point B in that year, then focused our entire energy on the first 90 days? We break up the year-long goals into 4 pieces, but not necessarily each 1/4 of the original size. Stay with me, math majors. When you start a new program, especially if you start it at the beginning of the year, energy is going to be higher. It's a great time to be more ambitious and set the bar up an extra notch. Instead of saying, we'll go for 25% of the total goal in the first 90 days, we go for 30% or even 35%. I mean, it's worth a try, right? You might fall short of 35, but what if you hit the 30% mark? That's better. People can easily visualize 90 days, and it's close enough that they know they need to get busy, so they jump into it. You want to stay on top of progress so you can make mid-course corrections if needed, and the beauty of the 90-day plan is that it gives you 2 simple check-in points at 30 days and 60 days. At the 30-day mark, you call each worker in and give them a chance to show how far along they are. They get FaceTime with the boss, which is a plus for them, and you get a chance to pump them up, give some specific praise for their fine efforts and any needed guidance. At 60 days from the start, you do the same thing. You use the power of the one-to-one meeting to coach them, empower them, show them you have confidence in them, and make sure they are on target to arrive at their destination in the next 30 days. When they do hit their goal a month later, you celebrate, then recalibrate, and go for the next quarter. When you add up all the pieces to the plan, you've got a set of goals broken up into more easily visualized and digestible chunks. Then you add 2 one-to-one meetings, which feature the added benefit of coaching, which creates a far stronger connection and working relationship. I don't see a downside to this. 2020 is just around the corner. Will the 90-day program work for you? That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
It's about there, isn't it? 60 or so days away from Christmas. Add another week, and then, it's going to be 2020. Yes, great way to break things apart and maybe prepare yourself for a different kind of management and leadership style in 2020. I think there's going to be a lot of people that will be looking for that. If you want details, again, GuamTraining.com and the World Wide Web. And if you want a day's worth of incredible ideas just like that, Live to Lead conference is going to be coming up in just a few days.
November 7th.
Yeah, so if you want to sign up for that, go to GuamTraining.com /Live to Lead, or just look for the blurb there on the front, and that will take you to where you need to go to at least get your reservations in.
Yes.
You don't have to say the name of the guy that's going or the girls that are going, but you do need to get your spot reserved. All the details are at the website GuamTraining.com. It's 7:34, and about time for a look at headlines from the Guam Daily Post. And what are we going to be doing here? Is brought to you by Alan, the guys over at GPSI, a professional services company, registered contractor with the federal government. Are you the federal government? Would you like to work with Al Yanger? Call him at 477-3058. If you've got a piece of property that you want to rent out, maybe make a couple of extra bucks, call Lolita Kemet at Remax Diamond Realty for all your real estate needs. Maybe you need to rent a place and put a couple of bucks in the landlord's hand. Loli knows everybody. 688-6743. Again, 688-6743. Montesilva Tyron with news from the Guam Daily Post.
It's 7:34. Here are your headlines. There was a 10-day window to file a request for extension, but apparently Guam missed the deadline. The extension request was to be filed as Guam sought to appeal the court ruling on the plebiscite law. Governor Lulian Guerrero wanted to take the appeal to the Supreme Court, but attorney Mike Phillips says having missed the deadline, it might be mission impossible. It's just about the end of the case against former Gura commissioners as the defense yesterday rested their case. The commissioners are alleged to have violated the open government law by taking part in meetings that were not open to the public. Closing arguments will take place next week, followed by jury instructions and then deliberations. The two men who escaped the Department of Corrections halfway house this month now say they didn't do it. Johnny Del Rosario and Johnny Atelek pleaded not guilty to charges of felony escape. The two allegedly fled the compound and later turned themselves into authorities. They will appear back in court on October 31st. Meanwhile, the authorities that they turned themselves into were placed on administrative leave while an investigation is underway. And those are your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, you can pick up a copy of the paper or you can log on to their website at postguam.com.
It's 7:36 in the morning, and that is iConnect time. If you're looking for a job, they might be looking for you at iConnect. If you're self-motivated, energetic, outgoing, and a good communicator, iConnect is looking for the right people to be part of their corporate sales team. So if you've got sales experience, those communication skills, maybe great team player ethic, you're encouraged to apply. Send your resume to hr@iconnectguam.com or find their main office at the office at the Micronesia Mall to pick up an application. iConnect is an equal opportunity employer.
Hi, welcome to this ad for new Subway sliders starting at $2.49 each. How do you want it? Cheer Squad.
Woo! Go Subway sliders starting at $2.49 each. Give me a $2.49 ham and jack slider.
$2.49 ham and jack slider.
Give me a $2.49 Italian spice slider.
$2.49 Italian spice slider.
What's that spell?
It doesn't really spell anything.
New Subway sliders starting at $2.49 each. Go sliders!
Subway, make it what you want.
I'm going over a couple of websites that promise unbeatable excuses for when you screw something up, and among them are things like car troubles. Sure, just pick me up says this works wonderfully if you have no conveyance of your own and the taxi charges are high. Picking and dropping you off, especially if you live in a further corner of town, will prove to be quite the hassle for your friends. So if they're inviting you to do something and you say, okay, well, I'll be happy to turn in that paperwork to the Supreme Court, but could you pick me up? I need a ride. And they'll go, oh crap, we got to go to Jigo for this guy. Forget it. Never mind. And that's how you get out of those situations. Speaking of traffic up in Jigo, let's see what it looks like right about now. 7:37, and in the usual spots, things are beginning to get a little bit dicey, but nothing going to slow you down until you get closer and closer to Dededo. The kind of Waisangsong area is looking pretty busy right now. But once you pass it, shouldn't be too much of a problem until you get to the intersection of 1 and 3, and then you'll slow down until about where you get to Jack in the Box, and then after that it will open up for that much, like not even a quarter mile, and then it will busy up again, and then it's intersection traffic until you get past Kmart in the John F. Kennedy area. In and out of Barragata, the 810 and 16, a little bit busy through most of that area, north and southbound on the Route 8 side of 810 and 16. Expect some delays there. Up around the schools on Route 10 and Wendy's, that's starting to look a little bit busy. 10 and 15, ugly intersection. Hate it, don't like to go through it, and there are a lot of people that right now at that intersection that are thinking about the same thing. But once you're past that, shouldn't be too much of a problem until you get to 4 and 10. A little bit of traffic trying to make it through that intersection, and then it's kind of a straight shot into the downtown Agana area, where you will run into traffic right around the Agana Shopping Center and Shirley's intersection. So watch out for that. Nothing major happening at Guam High, and as usual, traffic beginning to build over at Big Navy and Sumai. 20 away from 8 o'clock in the morning. That's right now traffic on the point.
Connecticut water treatment customers don't keep coming back. They're satisfied the first time. That's right. Connecticut non-electric water treatment systems take care of your water problems, and you won't need to keep calling us for repairs. Join the list of satisfied Connecticut customers who purchased their non-electric water systems years ago and are still enjoying clean, conditioned water without any hassles from timers or circuit boards.
American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water.
255-888-TALK. And the program moving along. A nice little clip here. Got Jerry Roberts, a businessy portion of the program. Headlines all in place where you need them. And there's some other interesting things besides the rookie move that is the missing of the deadline on getting together with the Supreme Court of the United States. I think that's a big deal considering the amount of talk and other editorial ink that has been invested in, even video ink. You remember they actually took the time to make a special address with the governor to talk about this Davis case. Yeah, we're going to take this to the Supreme Court of the United States. You know what? We've talked to our legal experts, and they don't want us to forsake our right. I'm sorry, I didn't roll the R's on that one. I should. Want to forsake our right of appeal. While they were not forsaking the right of appeal, apparently they forsook the idea that there's paperwork that you got to turn in, and they didn't make it. Shucks darn. Or as Papa used to say, putalania, whose fault was that? 20 away from 8 o'clock in the morning. We can spend some time talking about that. But there are some very, very interesting cases, literally cases, that are making their way through the court systems. And as I like to do from time to time, I like to get the great court reporter from the Guam Daily Post, Nick Delgado, on the line. How you doing, Nick?
Hey, good morning, guys. Doing well.
Yeah, you're doing well? So tell me about this $1 million guy, the front page of the Daily Post here. So he's already in trouble for $1 million on local drug charges, and now they've unsealed a federal case against him?
Right, and that's something that the details have just unfolded in regards to the federal charges that Raymond Meneses now faces in the District Court of Guam. So we're waiting to see, as the case has just recently been unsealed, to find out more details of whether or not there might be any connection to the local case.
Right.
This might be something completely new altogether.
Wow. I mean, it's incredible, some of the things that he's already been arrested and charged with. They got to pull the guy over, find a bag with all kinds of money in it. I was actually a little annoyed at the drug that he was pushing, in addition to maybe marijuana and crystal methamphetamines and MDMA, also trafficking in LSD. I didn't realize there was still a market for LSD. It's not, it's 1979. They want their drugs back.
Yeah, before my time, Ray, but I can tell you, covering the cops and court beat, not too often do we see this particular controlled substance come up in the docket or in any arrest record. And so you're right, it is something interesting to see and something unique in this case.
Yeah. So they've got him behind bars and under lock and key, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank goodness. Now, there's a couple of other interesting cases that you have been following, and I don't know how I want to file this one here. The Aircon con that was going on. Tell me a little bit about that story.
I wish I thought of that pun myself. It was interesting. I had to go through the documents a couple times.
Right. It's in the magistrate reports, and those
He
don't
takes
read.
the con out of aircon.
Aircon. So, they're not easy to read to begin with. They're not really written for the eye or the ear, these magistrate reports. They're actually legal documents. So I had the same exercise. I'm going, wait a second, how many times does this guy sell the same air conditioner?
Right. And you could assume that in the separate complaints that were filed, and these were complaints that were filed against the defendant in this case 2-3 years ago, 2016, 2017, according to the court documents. And to just see his arrest surface at this time, it kind of makes you wonder what was happening with the investigation, what was happening with the complaint altogether.
Right.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that we had a suspect who allegedly was selling and these air conditioning units to include service for the installation fees, and then never fulfilled and never delivered.
Right. But the part that's most annoying about this story, you write that the woman, one of the ladies who got scammed by this guy, contacted the guy's supervisor, who told her that she was not the first person the suspect allegedly scammed. And I'm trying to think of what kind of boss would keep somebody around, an employee around, going, oh yeah, I hear about him stealing from people all the time, but he comes in early and he stays late and he generally gets the job done. Best warehouse sweeper we've got. So I let him stay. Just amazing.
Definitely something to raise an eyebrow, at least on behalf of that company. But when you hear something like that from the supervisor, it does cause some pause for concern. But something additional that the court documents had stated was that apparently the defendant in the case also owes his supervisor money. And so There's the twist for you.
Say, yeah, I can't fire him. He still owes me money. That's just hilarious. The guy's name is Donato Lagman, 36 years old. And if you want to know how to do a scam, this guy is the right guy to talk to. He can get away with the money and be able to keep his job. 7:45, and the last couple of things. Albert Mendiola Jr.'s supervised release has been revoked. Drug distributor, and he's already been convicted. And as part of his release terms, he was supposed to stay away from crystal methamphetamines, but he apparently could not do that. And I've been asking the question: how many times do you have to be caught and using and peeing dirty? How many times do you need to get caught before they finally throw you back in jail? And the magic number is
9.
9 times. It's 9 times. Mendiola, who is in custody now at the Department of Corrections, went before Ken Menabusen, who finally said, "Stop making me look like an ass here, and I'm putting you in jail." The guy apparently had admitted to using drugs, tested positive a number of times, and the court decided after 8-9 times, that's enough. You have to go back to jail.
And that was just 9 times for his alleged, or his actually admitted to it, his use of the drug ice. A couple other times were noted in the U.S. probation officer's report that he admitted to using drugs, although it didn't specify exactly what type of substance.
Yeah.
And so you're right, it is.
Well, it's truly indicative of the problem that we have with the system itself, because they're not giving them any sort of program what we could help them with their problems.
Well, no, there are programs. I mean, they got these lighthouse programs, but in some cases, people end up going to these drug programs out of drug court, only to find themselves with other drug people. And what happens when you get a bunch of drug people together? Let's do drugs. Let's go smoke some ice.
Maybe we need to revisit the programs and see if they're adequate.
Yeah.
I agree, and the court system is well aware of this. So covering Judge Anita Sicola's court, she says it time and time again. And if I can pull up some of the quotes, I'm sure I had written in some of my stories where she says that she knows that that's where the problem arises from time to time. And then on the other hand, you get these drug defendants who tell the court system that they need the help, they get the help, and they go to these treatment centers, but then they don't finish the program, and then they walk away. And
there needs to be something else, and the concern that I have, and you and I've talked about this before, is that it seems like the criminal justice system favors the criminals more than it favors the victims of these crimes. It's got to remember, yeah, they've got problems with the drugs, but they're being hauled in based on crimes that they're committing to support this drug habit, and nobody seems to be looking out for the victims of those particular crimes, the robberies, the burglaries, the break-ins, all of that stuff. 7:47 in the morning. Are we near the end on the Gura open government case?
According to the reports that our reporter John O'Connor has been following, mid-next week, we will get into closing arguments after I think it's been a couple of weeks now of just hearing each defendant's case and a few charges even being dismissed against some of them. And so we'll see what the jury decides, whether or not it was enough for them to decide it.
Yeah, well, and that's the point is I'm wondering what charges are still left, because it seemed to me most of the headlines I've been reading out of the Post these days say that
just misdemeanor charges now are remaining.
Yeah, it's just this charge has been dropped in the Gura case, that charge has been dropped in the Gura case. I think they're just going to be left with, spitting on the sidewalk and jaywalking, right?
It appears.
Sure,
the story that I caught myself scratching my head over was the case involving the 2 escapees who pleaded not guilty to escape. So basically, they're saying they didn't do it, yet they turned themselves in. So interesting, very interesting.
The Johnnies are denying the fact that the well-known fact that they did skip out of the halfway house and were on the lam for about 12 hours before they self-surrendered. Right. So there's pictures of you guys being out of the prison where you were supposed to be. Therefore, there could be something to these charges. 7:49. Nick, it's always fun talking with you. What's the big story going to be tomorrow?
Oh man, we have a busy day in district court. The trial in the Medicare fraud case, which has been set back for months, finally making some headway as there's some pending motions from the defense side for Clifford Schumacher, Kimberly Connor, and Nicholas Schumacher, the defendants in those cases, filing motions to throw the case out, to dismiss it. And so that's one of the the big stories that I'm starting my day off with, along with several other cases, including a U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officer alleging sexual harassment in the workplace. Very interesting details coming out of there, and all related to social media. But we, of course, will bring you those details on tomorrow's edition of the Guam Daily Post.
Got you, buddy. It's always fun talking with you. Nick Delgado from the Guam Daily Post. I'll see you soon, buddy. 888-8255, 888-TALK. Nice little wraparound of what's going on in the court beat, in the court scene. And as I said, some really, really interesting stuff. and this is indicative, highly indicative, friends, of the way, and maybe I used a harsher term than I should have in the middle of morning drive to describe how I feel about the criminal justice system, and the fact that most of these guys that are going through the criminal justice system, local courts, district court, just have, I think that they look at judges like a bunch of idiots, because they just go in there and they say all kinds of things, and still at the end of the day manage to get generally everything they want out of these guys. Telling you the story about the guy that was convicted of drug charges and was allowed, through the enormous generosity of the criminal justice system here on Guam, to not go to jail for being a drug dealer. You know, in some countries, if you're a drug dealer, they shoot you dead. Around here, we slap you on the wrist and we say, go forth and sin no more. And these guys get out there and with the express notice from the judge that they should avoid drugs and alcohol, and all of a sudden here comes this guy and admits to using meth, admits and does the urine test and fails. It took them 9 times for this guy to fail before anybody decided that, hey, you know what? I don't think he's following the rules that the judge set out for him. Go find him and stick him back in jail. We'll see what happens. And this case with Johnny and Johnny, the inmates at the halfway house that basically let themselves out. These guys, their thoughts on the criminal justice system are about the same. You remember that old Shaggy song? Wasn't me, right? And it's a story about a guy, and he's having relations. Doing a Clinton thing with a girl, and then his girlfriend walks in, and he doesn't know what to do, and Shaggy's advice is say, it wasn't you. Huh? But she's there. She's looking at me. I'm actually doing it. Just say it wasn't you. Gas lamp. Isn't that what it's called? Gas lamping? Gaslighting? No, it's not me. I don't know what you think you're seeing, but it's not right because you're crazy. And I think that's what they're basically telling the judges out there these days. And the crazy thing is they're probably gonna get away with it. 7:52 in the morning, even though we've got video evidence. Dr. Ron McNinch now for a couple of minutes before it gets to be 8 o'clock. How you doing, Doc?
Hey, how's the day, Ray? How's the day going?
Very, very interesting. Although I will say that you have to swim through a lot of the editorial before you get to the fun part at the end. Dr. McNinch has got an editorial in today's Guam Daily Post. Why don't Guam public officials or board members simply follow the law? And then you do this long thing about books and your daughter reading and Malcolm Gladwell until you get to the one of, and it's the last paragraph. One of the key things I study all the time is why don't public officials or board members on Guam simply follow the law? And we can, as evidence, we can use as an example, say the Consolidated Commission on Utilities and the giant missteps that they took, handing out raises to Miguel Berdallo and John Benavente.
Right.
As an example, why don't they just follow the law? Why do you suppose that is, that there are so many laws that are either ignored or just, brushed aside?
Well, first, there are some bad laws. We can readily admit that. And so I'm not talking about those kinds of laws, but really basic things like open government law, freedom of information. Part of it is arrogance. See, in order to get relief for a freedom of information case, you have to get a lawyer, unless you really know how, okay? You have to get a lawyer. So nobody can enforce a FOIA request against an agency. And agencies know this, so they do pretty much anything they want with impunity and turn down things like FOIA requests all the time.
Huh. And so that becomes one of these problems, and knowing that nobody's going to do anything about it because we generally, while we might have standing, we don't have the capability, the time, or the experience to be able to take things to the next level. Not everybody is Ken Leon Guerrero.
Yeah, or Bob Klutsky, right?
Yeah.
Same issue. And so part of it is time also. It does take time for some of these things. The other thing is a lot of board members, I hate to sound like this, and I'm on a good board with the Board of Education, but in a lot of other boards, and we're under strict scrutiny all the time, it's hard to mess up on the Guam School Board and not have anybody notice, okay? But a lot of these board members have no training, no experience. They don't understand their jobs. A lot of them don't even do their jobs because the agency says, oh, just don't worry about it. Just show up and vote for us when we ask you to. And that's about it. That's all they do. They don't really do their job, which is kind of sad.
Well, maybe we ought to take a look at some of the requirements of why we still need so many of these boards and commissions out there. I'm also interested in something on the front page of today's Guam Daily Post, and I'm kind of like the idea, which is to drop the age limit, the compulsory education age, take it back to 16.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of 16 under good standing or good effort, progressive effort. A young person can stay all the way up until they graduate, basically. But the moment they begin acting like thugs, our schools should not become a dumping ground for little thug-like behavior from people.
We got a couple of very vivid cases that we've been treated to over at Teedson High and John F. Kennedy High School, where we got a 20-year-old. And Mona said, wow, that's a super senior. I said, well, there's no guarantee that at 20 years old that he's made senior year. He might still be a sophomore or junior at John F. Kennedy at the age of 20. And I'm going, why is a 20-year-old still going to school there? There were a couple of answers that I got. One was that maybe the kid's got some kind of special needs and they can stay in high school for as long as they want, basically.
Until they're 22, basically, for special needs. And I'm always supportive of our special needs students, but I don't think that's the case in this case. This guy had a long criminal record. I think that, in general, that's the scary part, is I would like for us to have the leisure not to have to accept young people, 18, 19, 20 years old, who have criminal records, and put them in the same classroom in the seat next to your 14-year-old daughter. Why do we do that?
And that was a question that I asked as I was reading the story that morning, is I wonder how many parents of John F. Kennedy High School students were aware that their little snowflakes were going to school with a 20-year-old thug.
Right.
And would you, if you had known that information, what would the nature of your communications be with the administrators of the school? I mean, I'm not going to say anything about sexual predators or things like that. I just know that I would be uncomfortable if my children were going to school with somebody that should have graduated ages ago.
Ray, I think the bottom line is if a young person's 16 years old and they're not even in the 9th grade, right? At some point, we have to send them to like GCC, to adult education, or send them to another place just for a person who needs those kinds of things, and take them out of, why should a 17, 18-year-old kid be in your ninth grade student's class? I mean, you can't make a special class for everybody.
Right.
And GCC has great adult programs. They have a GED program. The young person's 17, 18 years old, and they're not making academic progress. I don't know whether it's fair to anyone to require them to keep going to school, even though they're not going to benefit from it, or even worse, they're going to be a detriment to the entire system.
We're going to need to find 8 people over at the legislature to overturn that, aren't we? I think that's a matter of law, not board policy.
Right, that's correct. And by the way, I have no issue with the legislature trying this out. I think it was a noble idea, but sometimes the law of unintended consequences turns a good idea into bad practice.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to recall, they tried that years ago, and I was initially in favor of the idea until I'd actually spoken to educators who said, you got to be kidding. If somebody is 17 years old and doesn't want to be in school, please don't force them on my classroom, on me, and on my students. They're just going to go in there and blow it for everybody. So get these guys into other programs if need be, but keep them out of the classroom if they don't want to be in the classroom. This compulsory age of 18 is a couple of years too long. 16 sounds about right. Well, maybe we'll get some traction on this. Maybe there's going to be somebody over at the legislature that will pay attention to it. I think you're right. I think the experiment has been tried and it ain't working.
One other quick point. Senator Shalina Nelson suggested that we explore a National Guard program. It's like a boot camp program for troubled young people that are 17, 18, 19 years old. And that's something we're all looking at now. John Birch is our safety committee guy. He's looking at that closely. And, our schools should not be a dumping ground for every problem in the region. That's the reality. And our student safety should be absolutely even above even the learning process in terms of being able to safely learn.
We should put that. We should put that on a T-shirt. But I'm just kind of curious. I got a graphic that we made yesterday that showed a picture of Jimmy Moylan and Mary Torres. I dummied it up to look like a campaign ad. You think there might be any kind of traction to that in about the last 10 seconds or so? Think that might be a ghost show?
If Jimmy Carter can get elected president, anything can happen in politics.
It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to leave you there. Dr. Ron McNinch from the University of Guam. The radio station is KUSG. Hagutnya. Stand by. Fox News Live is coming up next. You're listening to The Point.
Want a seat at the table. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Testimony from Defense Department official Laura Cooper as the House continues its impeachment inquiry of President Trump, put on hold for a few hours after dozens of Republicans stormed the secure area of the Capitol where the hearing was being held.
I have fought from Afghanistan to West Africa, and there are countries overseas that handle this in a more fair and transparent way than the Democrats are today.
Florida Republican Michael Waltz. Cooper oversees Ukraine policy for the DOD. Fox News has learned the Defense Department tried to block her from appearing. Two associates of President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, who took part in the investigation of former Vice President Joe Biden in court in New York City, Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman, both pleading not guilty to conspiracy and other charges. The two are also connected to the impeachment inquiry for their ties to Ukraine. Two other defendants were in court last week. All four are due back in court in December. Another parent in front of a judge in the college admissions cheating scandal. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, after a fire alarm went off delaying the proceeding, lifestyle guru Jane Buckingham was finally sentenced to 3 weeks in federal prison. She pleaded guilty to a single count of conspiracy to commit fraud back in May. She admitted to paying to have someone take a college admissions test in place of her son. Where she will serve that time will be determined in December. After her sentence is served, Buckingham will have to pay a $40,000 fine. She is the 11th parent to be sentenced in this case. Buckingham spoke in court, telling the judge she would never forgive herself for what she's done, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. Wall Street at the close. A late wave of buying left stocks modestly higher. Healthcare and communications companies did the most to pull the market higher. The Dow gained 45, the Nasdaq up 15, the S&P rose 8 points. America is listening to Fox News.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge-watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
Did you know that home loan rates have plunged again? Would you like to take advantage of these lower rates to help lower your monthly payments? Refinancing doesn't have to be for another 30 years. It can be for 10, 15, or 20 years. It's up to you. Reduce your monthly payments. Pay off your loan earlier. At Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender. Credit conditions apply.
Police in the UK say a truck with 39 bodies inside traveled from Belgium to England and not from Ireland, as they first thought. The 25-year-old driver of that truck, who was from Northern Ireland, arrested on suspicion of murder. President Trump in Pittsburgh this afternoon at a state energy conference, touting the administration's efforts to help the energy industry. During his comments, the president had praise for Democrats and took a shot at one senator, a Republican senator in particular.
But they do. They stick together. They don't have a Mitt Romney in their midst. They don't have the Mitt Romneys of the world. They stick together better than the Republicans do. I love the Republicans. 94 and 95% approval rating they gave me recently.
Utah Senator Mitt Romney has been a vocal critic of the president, speaking out about a number of his policies, most recently his decision to pull troops out of Syria. The CEO of Facebook on Capitol Hill defending plans to create digital currency.
3 House lawmakers told Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg that actions speak louder than words. And House Financial Services Committee Chairwoman Maxine Waters Waters kicked off this hearing today, reading a rap sheet of Facebook's bad behavior, ranging from Russian meddling in the 2016 election to data privacy concerns with the Cambridge Analytica scandal to conservative censorship on their platform. Zuckerberg showed up today to make the case that Facebook should be allowed to make its own currency and also roll out its own global payment platform. He admitted, though, Congress may not think he is the ideal messenger based on his company's past.
Fox's Hillary Vaughn. A painting seized by the Nazis from a Jewish family in 1933 has been recovered from a museum in upstate New York by the FBI. The recovery is part of an international effort to find artwork that was stolen after the Nazis took power. It'll be held by the FBI until descendants of the family can recover it. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Half a day. Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. I'm Jade Uggan of Umatic, and this is where I start my day. Listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi itanonmo. Protect your land. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
GRMC's Neuroscience and Neurology Department treats a wide spectrum of disorders associated with the nervous system, spine, and brain. Some of the more common disorders include seizures, epilepsy, dementia, sleep disorders, migraine, and stroke, which is one of the leading causes of death on Guam. GRMC's neuroscience team is equipped with the latest technology and the finest neurological doctors. To make an appointment, contact GRMC Specialty Clinics at 645-5500.
Want 10% off your next flight to the U.S.? Now through October 31, receive 10% off select United Airlines flights to the U.S. when you purchase your ticket with your United credit card or United Mileage Plus credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Use promo code FHB019 when booking your flight. With a travel sale like this, you could wake up to a different sunrise in any part of the U.S. Visit FHB.com/UnitedFareSale19 to learn more. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
Half a day and good morning. It's 8:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron with some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The deadline for the government of Guam to petition to appeal Guam's plebiscite law before the U.S. Supreme Court has passed. Attorney Mike Phillips was tapped by the governor to take the lead on that appeal, but yesterday said the 10-day window to file an extension has passed. Phillips says Guam would have to present a reason that would fall under extraordinary circumstances to seek an extension of time to file the petition. At this point, he says Guam's case could be mission impossible. Governor Luliang Guerrero says that she's aware that of the government missing the deadline and now leaves it up to Phillips to consider a path to seek the petition. The governor announced on Monday GovGuam will appeal the Ninth Circuit decision rejecting Guam's plebiscite law. Both the District Court of Guam and the Ninth Circuit have deemed the plebiscite law as racist and unconstitutional. The defense has rested in the trial of the former commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, paving the way to closing arguments and a conclusion to the case. Closing arguments will take place next week, October 30th, followed by jury instructions and then deliberations. The last couple of weeks have seen witnesses testifying about alleged secret meetings in which GURA commissioners allegedly awarded millions of dollars in low-income tax housing credits. The commissioners now face misdemeanor charges of violations of the open government law. Elsewhere in the news, a delay in the plea agreement for a Department of Public Health and Social Services employee indicted in connection with food stamp fraud has resulted in the Superior Court judge setting a trial date for the defendant. Yolanda Digelman appeared before Judge Maria Senzon with her attorney. Digelman had been expected to plead guilty in the case. However, Attorney Fisher told the court he has since March awaited a response from the government regarding the defense proposed changes to the plea agreement. Judge Senzon expressed concern with the delay and set trial for Digelman for January 15th of next year. Digelman's co-worker and co-defendant, Jennifer Tapascio, also appeared in court. Tapascio had pleaded guilty in the case and awaits sentencing. Both women remain employed with public health but have been moved out of the WIC program. More news after this.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Guam residents might get a call in the next several weeks regarding housing in Guam. The Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority is partnering with a Hawaii-based research company, SMS Research, to conduct a survey to gather data on housing supply and demand. In the next few weeks, Guam residents can expect a telephone call originating from Hawaii with an 808 area code with questions pertaining to housing. GURA Director Ray Tapasnia says the purpose of the phone survey is to gather data on housing costs, conditions, demand, and preferences to help the government and the private sector plan for housing projects and programs. The telephone survey is a major piece, he says, of the 2019 Guam Housing Planning Study. Congressman Mike Sinicla is taking part today in a hearing with the Financial Services Committee and listened to testimony from Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg. Sinicla says the conversation focused on cryptocurrency and Facebook privacy policies and advertising requirements and other problems and issues faced by Facebook. And October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and as part of that, folks tomorrow will be asked to take part in Change Your Password Day. The Department of Homeland Security's annual campaign raises awareness about the importance of cybersecurity. It's a local initiative that will set 1025 tomorrow, where the community will be encouraged to update important cyber passwords in order to stay safe online. And those are your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
What's your passwords?
Password.
1, 2, 3, 4. But if I'm feeling frisky, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Honestly, setting a specific time for this password change is a bad idea because if anybody has their little bugs and feeders out there, they're usually hitting things at random, trying to pick up keystrokes and things. But if they know exactly what time people are going to be changing passwords, they're going to log into their little buggers.
What my problem is I'll change my password and I'll completely forget what it is.
Oh, I'm the king of that. That is 90% of
I don't want to change my password.
90% of my internet surfing is me, clicking something that says forget password or forget username, and then you've got to go through the rigmarole of coming up with a new password, and you think you're being clever, and you think it's something that you're going to remember. I've reset my PayPal password this year at least a half a dozen times. At least half a dozen times.
I have
and then it's usually the easy one that I have to and set it back to,
I have 2 passwords that I use for different sites. Now, it gets confusing as to which one I've used those 2 on, but they are letters. They're alphanumeric, letters, numbers, uppercase, lowercase. They're very complicated. They're good, strong passwords, but I stick to just 2 so that I don't get too confused.
Well, and then the other thing is and I probably shouldn't say anything because somebody's going to lift one of my computers and have access to everything, but most of the time, Google Chrome wants to be your pal and remember all the passwords, which means all somebody has to do is basically log into the website and it'll give them it'll query them for the password, but it will autofill. So there you go. How much?
What really cracks me up is those questions. The secret questions that only you know the answer to. My first pet.
Yeah, until you go to Facebook, until you go to Facebook and see that everybody knows who your first pet was, what school you went to, as a mother's maiden name, all of those kinds of things. Anyway, 888-8255-888-TALK is the telephone number. As you said, and this is an important story here, is our own Mike Sinicla and Maxine Waters chairing a hearing with Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook Live and YouTube Lives now. A picture that nobody else, no other media on Guam has. It has been embargoed, but Mike's my buddy, and I'm the only one that backs him in the media. So he said I could use this picture. It is Congressman Mike Nicholas reaching out and grabbing the hand of Mark Zuckerberg.
And Mark Zuckerberg looks like he's in a suit today.
Yeah. Well,
you don't normally see him in a suit, right?
He was taking a whole lot of heat from apparently everybody except Mike. And I've got a screenshot that I took of a story. I'm hoping I'll be able to get that screenshot up here in a second. The story goes that he was queried heavily by people over at this House committee, and they were giving him a hard time. Apparently, it's curated content. A lot of the stuff that gets posted, right? So you'll take pictures and videos of the kids and the dogs and Renee and all of that stuff, and that gets thrown up on Facebook. Well, somebody has to approve all of these videos and images that go up, and there are people that do this on a regular basis. And as you can imagine, they're exposed to some pretty hairy, graphic things that people try to post on Facebook. And as a result of that, many of them quit because they get PTSD. There are people actually slowly going crazy based on some of the things that people are posting up on Facebook, and they were giving him a hard time in this committee meeting because apparently he's not taking good care of them. And they have a thing called supervised emotional timeouts. Because it's millennials, right? So you see all this stuff, and he's getting hammered.
I think I need one of those.
Well, he's getting hammered because he only gives them like 9 minutes to go to a stairwell and cry or something based on some of the things that they're seeing. And I'm going, my God, this is the deep, dark underbelly of Facebook is employees that have PTSD from watching too many graphic videos. So I'm just, my position here is keep them coming. Go out there and shoot some really graphic stuff and then throw it up on Facebook and make some more snowflakes cry. 8:15 in the morning, and am I supposed to do the weather now, right?
No, it's your show, man.
Yes, you have
There, I found it. I've got to get this. It's not like I had 2.5 hours to prepare for this moment. Partly sunny skies today. Isolated showers and thunderstorms. I'll use the same excuse that Adloop is going to give for not getting the paperwork in time. I don't know. I got a UTI. I got bad cramps. That's why I didn't get everything in on time. Partly sunny skies, isolated showers. There's thunderstorms today. Easterly winds 15 to 20 miles an hour, decreasing slightly tonight. Highs 88 degrees. Overnight lows should be about 78 degrees. If you want it cooler, go into happy hour over at the Bamboo Bar over at Renee's work, because it's Thursday night and there's going to be crazy entertainment, crazy fun, crazy food that they've got there. Sunset tonight for the Bamboo Bar is 5:57. Sunrise tomorrow morning. You should be home by then. We'll be at 6:12 or so. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Want to grow your business? Start a new venture? Or stay ahead of the competition? You can. With Docomo Pacific Smart Business Solutions tailored to your specific needs and ambitions, you can do it all. Partner with a network with best-in-class network coverage, state-of-the-art communication platforms, and a team dedicated to providing you with premium support. Call 688-2677 to start your journey to success today. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
I want to hear that guy say, don't forsake your right to appeal. Or, I know my rights, pig. I ain't no snitch. The guy with the deep voice needs to say that. 8:17 in the morning. Portions of the Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by American Medical Center, now accepting Medicare, Aetna, and if you're new to the shop, they want to talk about you and your health care needs. 647-8262 will get you more information from the American Medical Center. Portions of the Ray Gibson Show also being brought to you by the guys over at APL, American President Lines, global presence, and a local home. And don't forget Mescla, where they've got this Taiwan-style beef noodle soup. And I kind of want it to rain hard so that that people can get around to trying this. Beef shank, tendon, slowly simmered in a rich Taiwanese-style soy-based broth. They serve that over noodles with bok choy and cilantro. Check that out in Agana and in the new place at the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, 969-2652. And finally, the program is brought to you by Take Care, offering proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage you and your family to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. Get all of that with a quick trip to Take Care.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
I'm looking for it. 8:18 in the morning. I'm looking for details on something that Renee sent me last night. Good morning. It's always nice to see you.
Good morning.
Did you cut your hair?
Yeah.
When?
Like a month ago.
Never mind.
It looks good now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I don't know. It looked longer yesterday. I don't know what the heck's going on. Is there some crazy stuff going in my head? Sorry about that. I'll have a hard time walking that back now, aren't I?
Yeah, that's all right.
Not going to mention your eyelashes then. 8:19. Anyway, so Renee Logi's in the studio and continuing to be the voice of the sports here on the Point. There's just so much sports to talk about these days. It's all out there, and as I think everybody knows by now, because I talk about it incessantly, we're both runners, and just not doing as much running these days. Because we've got both between us, there are injuries that we probably shouldn't outline on the radio, but just suffice to say that it's keeping us off the road, right? Mm-hmm. But there is a challenge that is coming up that even through our injuries, we should probably find a way to participate in.
Yeah, I think this one will be fun. This is the first one ever, the Donut Dash.
The Donut Dash.
And I think it's supporting the Sindalu baseball team, I think, who's putting it on.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Happy to run, and there's going to be donuts there.
Yeah, so the fun thing about this, so you've heard of the beer mile, right? Where you run a mile, you drink a beer, and then you keep running. So they have a similar concept that there'll be, I think, 2 donut stations on the road, and then you go out and come back. So you'll pass each one twice. And then if you eat one donut, they'll shave, I think, 30 seconds off your time.
Oh, sweet! So I mean, it's something that you and I could actually PR in. We could go in there.
I think I saw if you eat 2 donuts, you get 2 minutes off your time.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that the way that works?
But you have to eat it at the site.
Like 2 at one station.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so it's.
And we don't know yet if they're mini donuts or full size donuts.
I think they're full size donuts, but.
Then I'm just hoping that it's going to be out in Barragata, so I hope they're going to be Crown Bakery donuts, because I kind of like those.
Well, then those are easy to scarf
But
down.
you know, the kind of donut makes a difference. I mean, if it's a cake donut, that's not so bad. But if it's one of those fried glazed donuts, which are actually really delicious, that's going to weigh. Yeah, it's going to be a little differently when you try to metabolize that during the rest of that run.
Sugars, but the sugars are good for you.
That's right. Yeah, well.
Metabolize those quick. Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Every donut eaten. I'm reading now from their Facebook post. Every donut eaten in one of the 2 donut zones will take 30 seconds off your final run time. So if you eat 4 donuts, and a total of 2 minutes will be taken off of your final run time.
Yeah.
Donut zones will be located at the 1.5 mile mark and 2.5 mile mark of the course. All donuts must be finished in the donut zone, so it's not like you're going to be able to grab it and go. You got to stand there and eat the thing. So
the key is, in order to make this beneficial for you, you have to eat a donut in 10 seconds, so that you can get 20 seconds off your time. Because you can't spend the full 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
if they're
what's
going
the
to
point?
give you the 30-second credit, why take 30 seconds eating it? Now, there are going to be people that are really good at this. You've seen the competitions where people will eat X number of donuts or X number of hot dogs in 60 seconds or something like that. Oftentimes, the way they do it, and just describing it will make me want to vomit, is they'll take the donut bread, dip it into water, and liquid. Basically, you liquefy the bread so it goes down faster, and then all you're eating is this now liquefied donut bread and the hot dog, and you can eat faster, right?
Start talking strategy. People are going to start planning.
Exactly. Yeah. See, yeah. But like I said, I mean, the idea of eating like a wet donut makes me want to gag. So I'm not sure that I'm also thinking about somebody had these raw oysters in front of me last night, and that's kind of getting me all squishy in the stomach as well. So 8:22 in the morning. Try that out. The Donut Dash is going to take place Saturday, November 30th. So you've got time to begin your training. There will be a 5K course and a 2K. I'm assuming the 2K course is for little kids or just real big roly-poly people that still want to do something active and eat donuts at the same time. The next quest, and I see Dave Torrey online, I think the next quest ought to be for us to combine the Donut Dash and the beer miles.
Oh my gosh! Now you're crazy talking.
Somebody stop him! He's going crazy here. Find details. Just go to Facebook and look up Donut Dash, or if you're friends with Renee, she'll be happy to send that off in your direction. What else is there to talk about? We've got the Notre Dame girls that won everything in their varsity volleyball yesterday, and looking forward to Father Duenas going for their 5th unbroken season here in a game that's going to take place this weekend against George Washington High School.
right.
I know the kids are going crazy, wondering what's going to be happening for that. Game 1 of the World Series is now in the history books.
Yeah, Nationals got it 5-4. Astros made a lot of mistakes, and the Nationals took it. I mean, they took advantage of every one of those. Cole did not have his best day. Astros left 11 on base. You can't do that and win many games. So hopefully they can come back out there again today. Same time, it starts at 10 o'clock, and I am hoping the Astros can get it together and tie it up here.
Well, you were like, dude, Mr. Mom again yesterday when you were almost lecturing on Facebook about the Astros and their loss in the game yesterday. It was like, come on, guys, now you've gotten it out of your system. The first day jitters. Now let's go back in there, play some baseball.
Yeah, I think and I think really in the case, if I could sum it up, and I couldn't watch the game, but I did get to monitor it on the phone, and it was kind of like the new kids were really excited to be there, and they were pumped up, which is the Nationals, and they really, I mean, they showed up. They flat showed up, although their pitcher, Scherzinger, did not have his best day. I mean, he gave up 2 runs in the first, but he settled down and kind of held it through. The Astros did, in terms of strategy, do really well because they had him up in over 100 pitches by the time the 6th inning got in. So, they had to get him on out of there because you can't just keep throwing the ball all the time or your arm will fall off. And so it worked pretty well, but, we gave him up too many runs. Cole just did not have his best stuff out there, had a couple of bad pitches that resulted in lots of runs, and so that's just the game of baseball. That's how it goes. Astros again settled in. They arrived kind of like, oh yeah, well we've been here before. Yeah, let's just win. Okay, and that's just not how it works, especially with a team like the Nets. So again, a good series. I really expect the Astros to go ahead and take this game because it is at home and they don't lose too many at home. And hopefully we'll be talking about an even series going back to Washington to be played on Saturday.
All right, and then of course we've got the NBA. They had their opening day yesterday, and I was actually someplace where there was games going on everywhere. You get actually the games weren't being played. It was obviously later in the afternoon, but the 2 different screens playing 2 different set of highlights from the games. You got the baseball on one screen, and then you got the NBA stuff on the other. And I forgot to pay any attention. Who won the basketball games yesterday?
So
Do we have final scores?
Yeah, Raptors won over the Pelicans, 130 to 122.
With a name like the Pelicans, you just have not invoking any kind of confidence. I mean, among the bird families that are out there, it's not like a bird of prey or something like that. It doesn't strike fear in the heart of your it's like, who are you playing? We're playing the Pelicans. We're playing the Bunny Rabbits. That's who we're playing. We need to come out with something a little bit stronger than that.
It's funny. There was a SNL skit not too long ago.
The Pelicans don't have sharp teeth.
But the SNL skit, there was a football team that kept losing, and their team mascot was the Corgis. And I just thought it was the most funny thing.
Okay, yeah, but I'll just say it out loud here.
Corgis coming at you.
I want one. I want one. There was a meme. There were a couple of things yesterday. Stupid Facebook, right? So you spend a lot of time watching stuff on Facebook instead of working or enjoying a life. And somebody had posted a picture of it's time to get corgis, and it's just the cutest little picture of a little corgi with little short legs running down the hall, and it stumbles on its last step and just kind of slides into place. And I'm going, that is the cutest thing I'm going to see all day. Until somebody posted a picture of what looked like about a month-old pit bull. A dog, and I got to say that one of those what's the kind of pit bull? There's a name for them, Lamborghinis, or it's named after it's named after a guy. The pit bull that's named after a guy.
I just know.
Somebody will type it fast on Facebook. He's a gangster.
Bruno?
Not a Bruno. What dog is named Bruno? Now you're just making stuff up. His dog's name is Brando. Thanks, Daryl. That's not what I'm asking for. Daryl's typing in, go Orioles. What's the name of the... Anyway, so this cute little pit bull dog, and I'm looking at the dog going, oh, pit bull, puppy, they're so cute, until they start destroying your house. And so that's when you need to start thinking about getting rid of them. So we've got the Pelicans that lost to the Raptors yesterday because the Raptors that's a mad macho name. Raptors, of course they're going to win. They're birds of prey, for heaven's sakes. They got claws and sharp beaks. And then we've got the Clippers-Lakers game. Who won that one?
Clippers took it 112 to 102.
Okay, and beat out the Lakers on that. And is that going to be the nature of the NBA? Is nature like, aren't the Lakers supposed to be like a good team? Mike?
No.
See, you're on.
No, they haven't been good for a few years now.
All right,
so
I'm just
they're
in
a rebuilding phase.
Gotti, there, Janae's got it. The Gotti is the thing. All right.
Oh,
Okay, I get the.
James Howard
I get
says,
the mafia
dude, Pelicans got Zion, man. Boom. I don't know what that means. Anybody want to take a stab at that?
Zion Williamson. He's actually a pretty good player, but he's injured now. He's out for 6 weeks or something because he's got some issues with his legs. He's a really big guy, but sometimes when you're big like that, it doesn't translate well to all that banging on the hardwood. So he may have to consider toning it down just a little bit and strengthening his body a bit more.
I'm stuck on banging on the hardwood here. Not my Lakers, says Keenan McCausland. James Howard says 11 on base, rookies.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why the Astros did not win yesterday was because they kept packing the bases, apparently. All right, now it's time for the fun part of the program. Tomorrow is week number 8 of the National Football League, and it's time for us to take a look at the football pick'ems. We'll try to get through this as quickly as possible with whatever highlights that we need to add to this. I am Octopus Pew Pew on the football pick'ems, and Renee is the I Still Believe, which is a takeoff on the Bills. Yes. BILL, because that's her team. Now we start off here, and originally Renee is usually here while the news is playing, but she came in a little bit late this morning because you were probably like me laboring over a couple of these games, going, I don't know which way this thing is going to go.
I was making breakfast.
And you brought some for all of us? Never happens. All right, Minnesota and Washington. I got the Vikings in that game.
Yeah, easily Vikings.
Yeah. Okay, and everybody else says so as well against Washington. I'm going Seattle over Atlanta because I got relatives that live up in the upper left-hand corner of the states.
Same.
Yeah, I concur because the Seahawks are just a lot better team.
Then
they have Russell Wilson.
All right, and obviously Buffalo against Philadelphia. If I say anything but Buffalo, Renee's going to stop coming in. So Buffalo Bills.
This may actually wind up to be a pretty good game.
I mean,
these two teams are pretty well matched up, but the Eagles are on the downhill slide and Buffalo's on the way up. So I'm taking Buffalo at home.
Like Chicago against LA Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going for that.
Chicago.
Yeah. Okay, an easy matchup there. Detroit over the New York Giants. That one caused me a little bit of pause, but I decided to go with the crowd and say, yeah, okay, maybe this is going to be it for the Lions.
Yeah, they're heavily favored in the picks, and so I went with them in their home. And the Giants are just a mess right now. Although their quarterback has done pretty well with them. They're a young quarterback taking over for Eli Manning.
And Tennessee and Tampa Bay feels like one of those blah games, but it could be a decent matchup here. But I went with Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee at home. I got them.
What do you think, Renee?
I'll do the same.
All right, Indianapolis over Denver.
Yes.
Easy.
Without question, yeah.
Rams against Cincinnati. I got the Rams.
Rams.
Yeah, the Rams, although they've disappointed me a couple of times already this year. And the Bengals are one of those teams that they can show up like one team one week and be a completely different team the next. But I think the Rams will keep this under control at home.
Okay, and because we would never hear the end of it with Keena, so I'm going with New Orleans against Arizona.
Yes, without question.
Jacksonville over New York?
Jacksonville.
Yeah. And the Jets are from around her neighborhood, so for her to pick Jacksonville is saying something about the Jets.
They're just not coming out to play.
Dave Torrey is my good friend, so I'm picking the Niners to go 7-0 next week against Carolina Panthers. In fact, I think I've seen San Francisco play against Carolina, and Carolina just gets real gun-shy around those guys.
Well, I'm picking the Niners just because they're at home, and they seem to be doing a little bit better. But keep in mind this one thing. Panthers have not lost since Cam sat down. And so they
interesting legacy you're talking about, bro.
And you're talking about actually a couple of the top defenses in the league. Although the Panthers haven't really won a whole lot of games to translate that, their defense has held on pretty well. But I got to give it with the 49ers. Garoppolo and those guys are going to handle it.
There's a part of me that wants to pick Cleveland over New England on the theory that New England has to lose sometime.
Well, they didn't lose in the regular season back some time ago, so I mean they may make another run. The way they're going right now, they've only given up 48 points in 7 games, and that's impressive. I don't care what year, what league, anything else. Hasn't been done since 1920. But, yeah, Patriots going to walk all over them.
I got that feeling. You concur there, Renee?
Yes.
Very good. Houston over Oakland. And my better Angels are saying pick Oakland because Houston broke my heart last week.
Yeah, but they're at home, and that's the reason you want to pick them, because they had such a stinker last week. And keep in mind, in that Indianapolis game last week, they literally had the refs take a touchdown away from them. I'm not one to scream about refs and all that sort of thing, but the preponderance of evidence that I've seen in commentary says they probably should have ended that game either in overtime or as a tie or something, because it just wound up that way. So I'm going Texans. They're the better team.
This one caused me a lot of pauses. I was putting it together yesterday, and I'm still thinking and rethinking Green Bay at Kansas City. I got Green Bay over Kansas City, but the Chiefs started off the season so good. I was thinking that maybe this is going to be a comeback game for them.
Well, not with Mahomes out. No, Mahomes is out for at least 3 weeks, and hopefully that's all. He didn't really hurt himself too bad. Of course, a dislocated kneecap, that sucks. But there was no other damage there, so they'll bring him back. But without Mahomes, the Chiefs are just not the same offense.
The Renee Packers?
Yeah.
Okay, and then finally the Monday night game next week is going to be Pittsburgh and Miami. Pittsburgh heavily favored to beat the Dolphins on this game, and so I'm going to go with the crowd on that.
I got that.
All right, that's the easy one. All right, that's our look at the football pick'ems, and we'll see how this all plays out. First game is going to be tomorrow sometime. Minnesota at Washington, and Minnesota, by all of our accounts, is supposed to win on that one. 8:34 in the morning. Is that all the sporty stuff I've got for? I think that is all the sports stuff I got for the day. But you're like FYI, Renee is a dog person. There's cats there, but she's mostly a dog person. And my dog friends are going to get mad about hearing this, but dogs are bad for the planet. Somebody has been doing some research here. They're faithful, friendly, and furry, but under their harmless, fluffy exteriors, dogs and cats, the world's most popular house pets, use up more energy resources in a year than driving a car. Somebody's figured it out in New Zealand, and keeping a medium-sized dog, your dog's medium-sized, around the house has the same ecological impact as driving 6,200 miles in a gas-guzzling SUV. Nope.
How? Yeah, how?
Just cause. I don't know. It's New Zealand. It's, the hippies in New Zealand put this together. You need more. Fine, I'll work on getting some more evidence, but that's what they're saying. So if you truly love the environment, you have to get rid of your dog. It's 8:35 in the morning. Thanks so much for coming in. What's the big deal over at the Outrigger today? So Steve lets you keep coming?
Just come by. We had Jed, who's our bartender over at Bamboo Bar. He was in the Stoli competition last night.
Oh, yeah,
So come by and see him. Grab a drink at Bamboo Bar.
Will he flare for us?
If you ask him nicely, maybe he will.
Okay, so groovy stuff happening over at the Bamboo Bar, sunset tonight at 5:57. So you'll want to get into your place and into your spot sometime, I don't know, around lunch. That's all the time that we've got to pretend to talk about sports. Renee's going to go and fill in her job over at the Outrigger Hotel. Montesilva Tyron's got headlines coming up next.
It's a one-of-a-kind wine fundraiser. Wahan Sustainable Culture presents Wine in the Garden. The Hamamoto Gardens help support food sovereignty, security, and sustainability while sipping wines from around the world, surrounded by 50-some acres of beautiful farm and garden. Tickets are $75 each. Proceeds support education and outreach on how important, easy, and fun sustainable practices can be. Wine in the Garden is on Saturday evening, October 26th, starting at 5. For more details, go to our website, gusustainable.org, or call 687-6491.
Yeah, contemplating. I looked it up yesterday. The Guam International Marathon is going to be taking place April the 5th, and so I'm reaching out to Dave Torrey to get with the guys over at Unified to find out if they're going to be doing any more. They did last year, and it was really super helpful for me. Free guided training for the marathon, and actually it was for all the different races. There were people that joined.
And that's got to be fun too, because you have a group running
There's
with
a group,
you and training.
yeah. That's the cool part is you get to run with a group and you get to watch people as they kind of develop. It's
and
interesting.
you pace with the really fast guys.
Yeah, or you pace with the some of the slower people to make sure that they get the encouragement that they need to keep coming back time and time again. So that was my version of twisting Dave Torrey's arm to see if we can find out today what the plans are going to be. If you've never run any further than about a 5K, if you've never run before, it would be a good idea to find out, how you should train, what the safe ways to train are, and some groovy people to train with. Although I will say that there was not near enough beer summiting afterwards. I thought it would be one of those things where, we get together at like 5:30 someplace and go run until we're like super sweaty and then drink beer for the rest of the night. Did not turn out that way at all.
Well, I will have a cooler for you.
You demand. It's 8:37 and time for news from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Montesilva Tyron.
Well, there was a 10-day window to file a request for extension, but apparently Guam missed that deadline. The extension request was to be filed as Guam sought to appeal the court ruling on the plebiscite law. Governor Lulian Guerrero wanted to take the appeal to the Supreme Court, but attorney Mike Phillips says since they've missed the deadline, it might be mission impossible. You might get a call in the next several weeks from surveyors looking into Guam's housing. GURA has commissioned a Hawaii company to help gather data on the housing supply and demand on Guam. The information gathered will be used for the 2019 Guam Housing Planning Study and will help develop housing projects and programs. And October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and as part of that, folks tomorrow will be asked to take part in Change Your Password Day. The Department of Homeland Security set the clock for 10:25 for everyone to reset their password. And those are your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the paper or log on to their website at postguam.com.
The other Governor Leon Guerrero in just a few moments. And notes here, Janae Uggan also rooting for the San Francisco 49ers over the weekend. Kaz Endo says, Raiders! Who else is playing around here? Vince Pareto's online. Daryl Taggarty's got a couple of thoughts, and I'll read those in just a couple of minutes. And then something from Chris Chip, who says he can't watch one of these games here because apparently the curling playoffs are going to be taking place. I got you. 888-825-888-TALK is the telephone number, and we'll call this time here the time from the guys over at iConnect. If you're looking for a job, they are looking for you. Need to get themselves some motivated communicators to join their corporate sales team, and opportunity to go to businesses and government offices and agencies and sell them on the cool phones that they've got over at iConnect, including push to talk, which is crazy, incredible technology. It's like having a two-way radio and a cell phone at the same time. So if you've got some sales experience, excellent communication skills, and can work on a groovy team, you are encouraged to apply. You can get your applications at the iConnect main office or the Micronesia Mall, or send your resume to hr@iconnectguam.com. iConnect is an equal opportunity employer.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
20 away from 9 a.m. It is the Ray Gibson Show, and time to take another look at traffic as Mana Silva Tyron is about to jump into it for you. She's got her fingers crossed that by the time she gets home, maybe the guys over at GWA will have resolved those problems at the Toto Cañada Loop. Right there at the bottom, that's where the issue is, 24 hours plus without any water in that area. And my understanding is they've had to shut off portions of the roadways in order to do it. So if you take that section of roadway, expect some delays, maybe even a full-blown turnaround. The rest of the right now traffic's it's ugly up in Dededo, but when isn't it? As you make your way southbound Marine Corps Drive, it actually clears up nicely after 1 and 3, and you should not have any major problems after that. Just intersection traffic. Big problems in the downtown Agutnia area because of some GWA work, but by now I think you ought to be used to that. 4 and 10, a little bit busy at that intersection with a lot of people still trying to make it to the University of Guam before first bell. Nothing major at Navy Hospital, and the usual traffic, actually, it looks lighter than usual this morning down at Big Navy in Sumai. 19 to 9, that's right now traffic on the point.
Introducing KFC's new macaroni and cheese bowl. It's finger-licking, cheese. KFC chicken. Cheese and chicken for only $5. Visit your nearest KFC and get your hands on this chicken and cheese $5 mac and cheese bowl. Only for a limited time and only at AFC. It's finger licking good.
What? So how am I supposed to fill my bong, Ray, says Nate. Nate, really? Bong kind of guy? We'll virtual bong here on the radio for you. How's that? James Howard says you could have just put Merry Christmas. Same results, dude. You get 888-825-5888-TALK is the telephone number here at the radio station. Always a delight to hear from the other Governor Leon Guerrero. That would be Ken Leon Guerrero. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning. I caught the tail end of your conversation with Ron McNitch, and the answer to the question he raised, why do boards and commissions get away with this stuff? It's because people don't attend. I mean, GRP was on the verge of getting the permits they needed to go in and put a landfill in the middle of 27 artesian springs and 3 creeks until I went to the EPA board meeting, raised hell, and got them to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing happened at the port. You know, Rory Respicio was on the verge of settling out of court with Guam YTK till I went to the board meeting, raised hell, and then that turned it around. So unless we as citizens do a better job at managing those that get put into positions of authority to make decisions in our behalf, they're going to just drink the Kool-Aid of whatever manager they're supposedly managing.
Yep.
Because here's how a meeting goes. I want to go ahead and do this. And the board says, okay. You know, and then the board meeting's over.
Thanks very much. Well, there are some strong boards out there, so I would presume that that's not always going to be the case for every department and agency. And you've got boards that actually take seriously their oversight of these departments and agencies and department heads. And so I'm always delighted when I hear about boards kind of like that. And maybe we'll talk with a guy that has got that kind of responsive board here in just a couple of minutes. Anyway. 8:44 in the morning. I thought that was an interesting article that he had written. And the concern that I have, obviously, is that there are maybe too many boards and commissions that we've got here on Guam. And unfortunately, many of these boards and commissions are populated by people that I didn't get a chance to vote for. And in some cases, people that I wouldn't vote for, I would not support in an election that keep finding themselves back in government. How many boards and commissions are there that are populated by people that have already been voted out of the mayor's offices and the legislature? We want you out of government, not in the deeper parts of it, into the deeper reaches of government.
Well, that's one of the reasons why public input is so important, because a lot of these boards, not all of them, but I'll say Mass Transit Board and the Guam Memorial Hospital Board in particular are 2 boards that can't make a decision unless they check with ADLU. So what's the point?
No, because they serve at the pleasure of the governor in many cases, and so if it's not the manager you're kowtowing to, it might be somebody else. But that's it's not a criticism of Lou or Adelup, the current state of Adelup. That's just the way the government works around here. So like I said, you can go out there and vote for whoever you want to be in the 36th Guam legislature, whoever you want to be over at the governor's office. But the truth of the matter is, the government will always find a way to get back in. There's a deep state around here, and I think once we come to realize that, maybe there's more that can be done about wresting the power of the people and putting it back where it belongs. That's just my thoughts. 8:46. I wanted to get your thoughts on this kerfuffle here on the deadline for the filing of an extension. Mike Phillips can still go in and file the writ of certiorari, but he's only got 5 days or so to put the case together. So they were hoping to get some kind of an extension, but the deadline to file that extension has already passed. What do you think?
Well, I think that the media quoted him wrong, because they said that in the media, they said that whether Guam wins or loses, Guam wins. It's actually whether Guam wins or loses, Mike wins, because he's going to get paid no matter what. And the fact that our politicians and political leaders can't even handle a process as simple as appealing to the United States Supreme Court does not give me a lot of confidence for them running an independent nation. Well,
there's that. I could tell you what Jerry Roberts had to say about it, because I thought that was interesting, is it was done on purpose. That we were going to go through this drama, and we're going to hit this crescendo moment that we have been that we've been waiting for and told to expect, and now we can't move through it, which gives lets kind of everybody off the hook, saying, "Oh man, we were going to tell Dave Davis what time it was. We were going to go in your face, Dave Davis, but wow, we missed the thing. We missed the boat on the deal over at the Supreme Court. Man, we're not going to be able to do it now. Shucks." But so they'll still get all the love of the activists and all the people that wanted to put it in, rub Dave Davis's face in it. They'll still get the love and the admiration because we tried our best. But wow, we missed the deadline. Too bad.
Yeah. It reminds me of the 33rd legislature that introduced 10 different bills to roll back the pay raises, and every single one of them failed. But all of them ran on the campaign trail. I introduced legislation to roll back the pay raises, but those other senators wouldn't do it.
Darn those guys. Yep. It's all kabuki, and it's all a wonderful show. And unfortunately, the price of admission for this show is expensive for us taxpayers. Gov, I got to let you run. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
Okay.
All right, that's the other Governor Leon Guerrero. That would be Ken Leon Guerrero, not to be confused with the actual governor of Guam, Lou Leon Guerrero. It's 8:48 in the morning, and an interesting press release that come out yesterday about a survey that is going to be taking place. It's a housing survey, and I'm glad that they put out a press release because any more these days, if I get an off-island or long-distance phone call, I don't answer it because I'm worried it might be some kind of hacker trying to get me to pay exorbitant long-distance rates or something like that. Ray Tapaznia from Gora is on the line. Good morning, Ramon.
Good morning, Ray. How are you doing today?
You know what? I'm doing pretty good. Before we get to the survey question, just curious as to what the likelihood of the police actually moving into the new precinct in Sinahanya before the end of the year is going to be.
Oh, definitely before the end of the year. I'm hoping we'll get all the we'll tweak the fire suppression system to the point where we're able to get certification hopefully by next week. So after that, then it's just a matter of the occupancy permit. I know we've had some challenges with a contractor, but we're working daily with them.
All right, gotcha. In the meantime, there's other work that needs to get done. I understand the Bureau of Stats and Plans is now thinking about moving in and doing some of the network wiring that needs to be done in the building.
I think it's the Office of Technology, not BSC.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, BIT. Okay,
Correct.
so those guys doing the work. So it should be just a question of getting the dividers and the desks in place before they're able to move from Agana up to Sinahanya. I'm glad that's at work. I mean, it's such a pretty facility. Hate to see it not being used to its full potential. 10 away from the top of the hour again. Ray Tapazna from Gura on the line. And so, who's conducting this survey for Gura?
Well, we've actually partnered up with a Hawaii-based research company. The name of the company is SMS Research. And so many of our residents will be receiving a phone call with the 808 area code. But basically, we've partnered up with them to conduct a housing study and needs assessment.
Why didn't we use a local company? There's guys. Jay Merrill is fond of doing research. Although it seems to me, I think some of the research he does, he farms out to Hawaiian firms anyway. But there are local firms that could have conducted it. Did you issue an RFP for this year?
Yes, we did, and we had some local companies compete as well, and we had SMS Research come in, partnered up with a local company. I believe it's PCR Environmental, and they were the most responsive bidder. We awarded the contract, so you'll be receiving phone calls, or many of us will be receiving phone calls out of Hawaii.
Now, what kind of questions are they going to be asking?
Well, basically, we'll be looking at housing costs, housing conditions, demand, preferences, and that's the kind of stuff that we hope will guide Gura and those that we partner up to build affordable homes in a forward direction. We don't want to be building multiple or dozens of 3-bedroom units when there's a greater demand for 2-bedroom units. So that's kind of where we're leaning towards. Yeah, because it seems to me that many of the questions that you'd be asking are probably already answered. Is there a need for more affordable housing on Guam? And the answer is, oh boy, you wouldn't believe the need for affordable housing on Guam. We're shy by several thousand units, aren't we? Oh, absolutely. Right now, Gura's got about 3,700 plus on our wait list. So, yeah.
Now, when we finally get the answers, we'll still be left with some questions like, okay, if it is 2-bedroom units with a couple of bathrooms and maybe more emphasis on a utility kitchen, who's going to build them? Where are we going to get the money to be able to support that?
Well, let me just say that tomorrow we're having a ribbon cutting. We've partnered up with Ironwood, and we'll be having a ribbon cutting for another 50 affordable units, 25 3-bedroom units and another 25 4-bedroom units. And then we'll also on the same event be breaking ground on another 88 units. And that's 10 1 bedrooms, 68 2 bedrooms, and another 10 3-bedroom units. So a ribbon cutting and a groundbreaking tomorrow, and these units are being built in Totu.
Yeah, and not too far away as the crow flies from my place. So kind of excited to get some new neighbors into the area and see what kind of things these new folks are going to be bringing to our community. I think that's going to be fun, and then maybe start to see more of these places pop up. I mean, I was talking with Carlos Camacho the other day, and I think he's got a pretty good handle on being able to put these kinds of projects together, working with Gura and our other federal partners. So I anticipate there's going to be more of that kind of construction once we can get our hands on the guys to start building.
Oh, absolutely. And, every year we're authorized to allocate about $2.6 million, but over the course of a 10-year period, that's about $26 million that we allocate annually to build affordable homes. So typically when we put these projects out to bid, it's either Ironwood or Cortec that bids for it.
Yeah.
So whoever has the best proposal wins the bid, and then we move forward and build these homes. I got you. Well, it's going to be interesting. About how long is the survey going to last? I've unfortunately been the unlucky recipient of survey phone calls in the past, and God, it's worse around the campaign season. So I'm wondering how much time am I going to have to spend on the line with the lady from Oahu? Oh no, it's pretty straightforward. The survey itself is that's the telephone survey, but the study itself is going to take about 5 months to complete, and then we'll be able to share that with the public. We'll have that on our webpage, of course, and then we'll share it with Guam Housing Corp and all of our private partners. Well, but obviously we're going to look at rental rates and things like that. Will there be questions on rental rates and how we might be thinking in terms of what we consider to be affordable? I've got a number in my head when we start talking about affordable living and affordable housing, but there might be, especially among other listeners and other clients of the systems, different numbers, vastly different numbers on what they would consider affordable. Oh, yes. Absolutely. In fact, part of this housing needs study rate is the fair market rent assessment. Mm-hmm. And that's why in totality the study itself is going to cost about $500,000, but there will be an FMR assessment, and that will kind of tell us what's the fair market rent in the village of Derridale, in Jigo, and that will really help us, particularly with our Section 8 and public housing program. Will it also delve into the division between affordable housing for members of the local community versus housing, off-base housing for the military? Will we take into account certainly some attitudes and what the prevailing rents are going to be there? Correct. Yes, we will. That's all going to be a part of it. Oh, absolutely. $500,000 worth of survey work. Get as many questions as you possibly can in the space of the time that you've got with the people. When is the survey going to start? When can I anticipate receiving telephone calls? The phone calls are coming in as we speak. Oh, ongoing. Yes. At this time. Okay. Well, and they're calling regular GTA numbers. They're going to be able to call cell phones and things like that. Yes, both. In fact, they kind of beat us to the punch. We issued that press release late yesterday, but the phone calls, I think, started yesterday morning. But like I said, will I be able to expect? I don't have a home phone at my house. I've got a cell phone, and I cut that wire a long time ago. So will they be able to reach out and get me at the 488s and the 888s and all of that? I believe so. Gotcha. Ray, well, it's always a delight talking with you. When the survey is completed and the reports are issued, will we be able to get copies of the reports and, better yet, copies of the raw data? Will that be out in the public domain? It's public record, Ray, so of course you'll be able to access that information. And by the way, I heard Ken earlier, the sky's not falling at Gura, so. Well, and the case at Gura is, for all intents and purposes, it's almost done. So certainly members of the board that are involved in that case will be less distracted, hopefully, in the next couple of days once they come up with whatever the final arguments are going to be. Yes, and if I can just say for the record, the current board, the one that I serve under, they're so darn ethical. It's not even funny. We have a good working relationship. We're moving this agency forward, even in light of all the negative press with respect to the previous board. But this board, I love working with them, and I think we're going to do a lot of good.
All right. Well, best of luck to you, and we'll be looking for your picture with Carlos and others at the groundbreaking at the Ironwood. What is it? Villa Del Mar. That they're
1 and 2.
Villa Del Mar 1 and 2 that's going up. Although I still got to say it's funny in my head because Villa Del Mar is basically Village of the Sea, and those units are a little bit far away from the ocean. But an interesting name nonetheless. I got to run. I'll talk to you pretty soon. Ray Topazna from Gora. Expect the telephone calls already ongoing, and maybe if the phone is ringing and it's an 808 number, go ahead and answer it because it's just the folks over at SMS Research that want to know your attitudes and your thoughts on affordable living here on Guam, and how difficult I think it is to get your hands on some of what so-called affordable places that you might be able to find. In some cases, yeah, I can afford it, but wow, what a slum. Don't want to live there with those people. Yeah, it's kind of interesting over at my place because I can see the police come just about every single night. They're going to come and pick somebody up. That's the entertainment when you don't have cable.
Yeah, the place where I'm at is not that bad. It is kind of ghetto-ish, but not like Harmon. But still, I've got a great view. My rent's pretty reasonable. It's a small place. But I'm starting to think, man, I'm just going to have to be like Japanese. I'm just going to have to live small. Yeah, minimalist.
859. I know some people that's their quest is to keep things as basic as possible. I'm not that guy. It's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 already. The radio station is KUSG. Got you. Coming up, Fox News Live, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Point.
The audio.
Another round of blackouts. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. California's largest utility company cutting off power again as the wildfire danger rises.
PG&E is shutting off power to just under 180,000 customers in 17 counties, citing a red flag warning with high winds through Thursday. Earlier this month, the company was heavily criticized for shutting off power to more than 700,000 customers. Their website consistently crashed. Their outage maps were wrong. Many didn't feel they had enough prep time. This time, PG&E President Bill Johnson says they've created a new website.
Other improvements, our call centers will be focused on emergency and PSPS calls only. Currently have 380 agents available.
PG&E's equipment has been blamed for sparking a number of the state's most recent and devastating wildfires.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Testimony is concluded for the day as Defense Department official Laura Cooper appeared before lawmakers behind closed doors as they continue their impeachment inquiry of President Trump. Her testimony was delayed for several hours after Republicans walked into the secure room where it was being conducted, demanding the testimony be public. President Trump announcing Turkey has agreed to extend the ceasefire in Syria to make it long-lasting, and in exchange,
President Trump also lifted sanctions he imposed on Turkey, but added a permanent solution to the Turkish-Kurd conflict would not have been possible without the fighting that erupted after the invasion. President Trump is leaving it to Turkey and Russia to patrol the 20-mile safe zone established in the agreement. The president appeared to get buy-in from the Kurds. Syrian Democratic Forces leader General Mazloum tweeting, quote, "We thank President Trump for his tireless efforts that stopped the brutal Turkish attack and jihadist groups on our people."
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. Johnson & Johnson's agreed in principle to pay $4 billion for its role in the opioid crisis. That's according to Reuters. America's listening to Fox News.
Connecticut water treatment customers don't keep coming back. They're satisfied the first time. That's right. Connecticut non-electric water treatment systems take care of your water problems, and you won't need to keep calling us for repairs. Join the list of satisfied Connecticut customers who purchased their non-electric water systems years ago and are still enjoying clean, conditioned water without any hassles from timers or circuit boards.
American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water.
Hey, do you know what time the bank closes? I need to deposit my check.
You know you can do that from your phone.
I can?
With Bank of Guam's mobile app, it's easy. Just endorse the back and snap a pic to deposit it into your account. You can do this from anywhere, anytime, which means no rushing to catch the bank and no lines.
With Bank of Guam's mobile app and online banking, we're always open.
Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
The body of Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings lying in repose at a historically black college in Baltimore. Fraternal organizations gathered in prayer this afternoon to honor the longtime member of Congress at a concert hall at Morgan State University. His body will lie in state tomorrow at the U.S. Capitol. A wake and funeral is set for Friday. The 68-year-old died last week due to complications from long-standing health issues. A Virginia school board appealing a decision on its ban on transgender bathrooms. The Gloucester County School Board has filed legal papers saying a federal judge in Norfolk, Virginia, wrongly interpreted federal protections to rule that former student Gavin Grimm's rights were violated. Grimm is a transgender male. The school board said he is still physically female and was treated like all other students when he was required to use girls' bathrooms or a private restroom. He graduated from high school in 2017. New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady leaving the door open for another NFL opportunity.
There have been rumors buzzing following an ESPN profile Monday night that Tom Brady could be looking for a new challenge in the NFL beyond the New England Patriots. When asked about that speculation Wednesday during his weekly call-in to WEEI Radio, Brady didn't seem to squash the buzz.
I don't know what the future holds, and the great part is, you know, for me, football at this point is all borrowed time. I mean, I never expected to play 20 years.
42-year-old Brady's current contract has voidable years in 2020 and 2021, which means that the four-time Super Bowl MVP could become a free agent after this upcoming season. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
Actress Gina Davis to be honored Sunday at the 11th Annual Governors Awards given by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. She'll receive the Jean Hirschholt Humanitarian Award. Davis founded a nonprofit in 2004 with the goal of improving gender equity in television and films made for kids. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
GRMC's cardiology department treats most complex heart problems. In our catheterization lab, cardiologists use imaging equipment to treat clogged arteries that can cause heart attacks or heart failure. We perform balloon angioplasty, stenting, and other life-saving cardiac procedures. If you suffer from a heart condition, have your provider refer you to GRMC's cardiology clinic at 645-5500. GRMC, where patients are partners.
The Ray Gibson Show is brought to you by APL Global Presence with a local home and the guys over at Wendy's. And they know that we like it spicy on Guam. And so they've got a whole bunch of spicy in the menu, including spicy nuggets with sriracha dipping sauce, bacon jalapeno cheeseburger, or chicken sandwich with the bacon jalapeno flavor. They've got bacon jalapeno pepper fries and melted cheese. And, of course, spicy buffalo wings, chicken salad. The heat is definitely on at Wendy's. Now that's better.
Real Talk Radio is back. Welcome to The Point, Guam's FM News Talk Superstation.
After 9 o'clock in the morning, it is the Ray Gibson Show, 93.3 The Point. Another, 50 minutes or so between now and 10 o'clock in the morning. And while I always look forward, no, it's going to come out sounding wrong, and I don't mean to say it like that. But I always look forward to 10 o'clock because it's the end of the show and will be the conclusion of the majority interest of my work day. It's Thursday, which means I got to do this again tomorrow. And I'm wondering what kind of news stories that the movers and the shakers and the headline makers around here are going to be delivering on the overnight. As I went to sleep yesterday, the big topic of conversation was going to be the fact that hang the torpedoes, full speed ahead. We're going to the U.S. Supreme Court of the United States of America, and we're going to tell Dave Davis what time is it. That's what we're going to do. We're in your face, Dave Davis, and your Ninth Circuit court case. We're going to come up and, as Uncle Robert said yesterday, we're going to find a way to finesse the argument with the Supreme Court and get them to see things kind of our way here in the tiny Pacific island of Guam. And then they said, oh, I've only got a few days to put together a case to make this writ of certiorari. I know, I'll ask for an extension. And then they found out that the deadline to have filed an extension has passed already. No! it's like when you go to the Department of Revenue and Taxation, you don't got your paperwork together for your return. You can file an extension, but eventually that extension will dry up and go away. It's not like you can now today call Daphne and say, I need to file an extension. She's going to be like, dude, you should have done that back in April. That would have been the appropriate time to do it. That might still entertain you. But that would be driving through some narrow loopholes that might actually be in the system. And they're pondering that now. They're pondering the idea of maybe exploiting some loopholes to get an extension, or maybe go back to, as Bob Klitsky pointed out this morning, the opportunity that you might have to go back to the Ninth Circuit for a rehearing of the case. Now, whether they do that or not, it could set the stage for, whether they accept or adopt it or not, could set the case of them going, yeah, okay, well, we see what you're doing over there, and maybe there is an opportunity for another extension on another case. After the rehearing. We'll see what happens. But it seemed to me, yeah, Mission Impossible. This is the part where Leonard Nimoy rips off the mask, right? On the old version of Mission Impossible. You know, they've really screwed up that franchise, haven't they? I mean, the first couple of versions of Mission Impossible, the movie, were actually kind of tantalizing, and it just seems to me that it's gotten worse with every episode they've dragged Tom Cruise back in to do it.
Isn't that the case with all sequels?
Yeah.
None of them really measure up to the first one or two movies.
Zombieland was good, though. I gotta give it to the guys that did Zombieland. I mean, maybe I'm just saying that because I had nice company or something, but it was an enjoyable movie, and the hot dog was good. So I'm going to say that Zombieland is the exception that proves the rule that all sequels generally suck.
Yeah. Well, just like even the Star Trek franchise, which quite literally has millions of people who love the franchise worldwide, even they were tit for tat, basically. You know, on and off, on and off.
Yeah, but you got to be careful when you say that, because there are going to be people that say, Mike, are you throwing shade at Star Trek movies? That's
I've had about 3 of them, yeah.
Yeah. there's guys fighting words, man. There's guys wait for you outside the parking lot.
That's cool.
Say it again. Say it
trained.
again in my face. Say it again while I'm here in front of you. All right, 10 after 9 o'clock in the morning. And we started the program today. I was going to reach out to Mike Sinicolas just because it's funny to me. It is funny to me that the Republican Party of Guam is now supporting his measure in Congress. And that is a way to bait the Democrat Party on Guam to support Mike Sinicolas' congressional move, even though all of the Democrats, the deep state Democrats on Guam, want this to be handled locally for whatever reason, right? Got to take care of the Manumco. You know, we've been sitting around waiting for somebody to take care of the Manumco for decades, and then they come up with this idea that it's Section 30, and we'll eventually get that money. So we'll just whatever it is, we'll find a way to pay these guys out, and it makes the question rise to the surface. Why didn't we do this all along? Why have not the people that run the government of Guam have been banging on the doors of Congress so loudly and for so long to get the World War II Loyalty Recognition Acts, or war claims as we call those? Why if we could have done it ourselves this entire time, why didn't we? That's the question, isn't it? Nobody wants to address that, because it's one of those yeah, I guess we probably could have taken care of the war claims with all of those federal dollars that were coming in, but it was I guess it was easier to play victim all of these years and lay the blame at the feet of the government, whatever. And so now everybody's losing their minds trying to get everything whole in what's going to end up to be the last months of some of these survivors' lives. Anyway, so I was gonna talk to Mike about that, because I thought that was one of the more amusing things that we were talking about yesterday. But I got word that Mikey was helping Maxine Waters, who is nut job number 1 in Congress, but he likes her. So I'll give her a little bit of a break. But anyway, so he's working with Crazy Maxine, and Mark Zuckerberg is in there. Now, when I was talking with Mike, I think Mike got the feeling like this was probably a really good meeting for Zuckerberg. But I was reading the story on Fox's website where, some of the other nut jobs in that committee, I don't know if Mike was able to ask any questions, but some of the other nut jobs in the committee were really, really giving Zuckerberg a hard time about this. Basically, it's the company is too big. And they're involved in many things that they shouldn't be involved in and not paying enough attention. Again, we're talking about, Democrats in the House, not enough attention to taking care of their people, despite the fact that generally if you work over at Facebook, I mean, they just throw benefits at you. There is free food for employees.
Oh, they get naps every day.
You get naps. And so this is the thing that just leapt out at me. You pay many of those workers under $30,000 a year. And you've cut them off from mental health care when they leave the company, even if they have PTSD because of their work for the company. And this is what I was talking with Tamana and Renee about in the last hour. There are people that take videos of whatever. Yeah. And, just think of some of the worst crap that you've seen on WhatsApp. Just stuff that's floating around, the viral posts that we've got, and fights and guys beating up dogs and things like that. Anyway, there's people that will take those videos and try to attempt to load them on Facebook. And there's a whole room of people, and that's all they do, is they watch these videos. And then the strange thing is they claim to get PTSD as a result of watching some of these just terrible videos of the things that people are uploading. And I'm going, oh, my God, the ultimate snowflake generation. There are people that are listening to this broadcast that have been in actual combat with people firing guns and bullets and hand grenades at them that have earned their PTSD, if you ask me. And now to hear stories about these snowflakes that are, quote, getting PTSD because they're watching videos that people are uploading on Facebook. I'm sorry. We've made a dangerous turn with some of these kids that we're raising.
Well, keep in mind now, the folks that are in battle, I mean, they've actually been trained to be there. So their PTSD, of course, well-earned, because they're in the worst of the worst. These kids haven't been trained for anything. They're just in there checking out pictures, and they're being exposed to things that they should actually never see themselves.
I know, but they're just videos.
It's
a
still,
video.
but it represents something
there's
that's
videos
happened.
There's videos that I've seen on the internet that I wish I could unsee.
Right.
But I'm not going to go run to the therapist and go, oh, my eyes, my eyes, my eyes.
How old are you?
How old am I? I don't know. Should that make any difference?
Oh, it does. It's life experience. It has everything to do with it.
But I've never seen those things in real life. I've seen the video of them, and I'm going, okay, it's a video. It's just stuff, right? Yeah, anyway.
In those young minds, I don't think it translates that way.
Pam says, get over it. The world is full of ugliness. Don't watch. If it's your job and you got to watch it, okay. They say that they are trying to take care of these guys. According to one report I have, this Senator Porter questioned, according to one report I have, and this is straight out of an episode of Black Mirror, which I'll bet all these kids watch, these workers get 9 minutes of supervised wellness time per day. Supervised wellness time. Do you have that in your company? Do you have that where you work?
My wellness usually involves being unsupervised.
Supervised wellness. I'm sorry. I think I've seen everything now. 9 minutes. That means 9 minutes to cry in the stairwell while somebody watches them. Would you be willing to commit to spending 1 hour a day for the next year watching these videos and acting as a content monitor and only accessing the same benefits available to your workers? And the report, the story goes on. After trying to dodge the question, Porter shot back, I would appreciate a yes or no. Would you be willing to act as a content monitor and have that life experience? And Zuckerberg's answer was basically, I don't know if that's the appropriate role for me in this, the guide of this company, whether that's an appropriate use of my time. But my God, that is just hilarious. Supervised, what is it? What do they call it? Wellness time. Do you have that in your college? I'd love to hear from you if you do, because it's interesting to me. Is that a benefit that I should have here in this company, Mike? Should we explore the possibility of some kind of wellness time?
As long as it's not supervised, I'm fine.
We have a name for that here at the radio station. It's called smoke breaks. Yeah, go outside
vacation.
Exactly, it's a little 10-minute vacation that you can have with some nicotine or some vape, and it's all right. I can imagine we'll manage. And what is that? About 9 or 10 minutes or so, right? The smoke break you guys get?
Sure, yeah. And that's if you're going leisurely.
Yeah. Taking long puffs. 888-825-5888-TALK. Mention Juan Carlos Benitez, and bang, there he is. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, and a warm half a day.
Warm half a day to you. Are you up in Saipan? I thought I saw something where you were getting on a plane soon.
I am. literally landed a little while ago and had my coffee at the nice bakery here in Garapan.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wonderful cup of infusion coffee. This is great.
I'm glad that you're having a good time up there, and bring some sunshine from Saipan down. Any evidence that there was a storm up there last week?
I literally just landed and came to the coffee shop. So far, I haven't seen anything, but the president did give them a declaration of disaster relief at 75-25. So if there's any damage, at least the federal government stepping in and helping.
No, I like that. 75-25 is a pretty decent deal with the federal government as well. So I can imagine that their civil authorities up there are looking around for anything broken. Go just get a pile of stuff that's broken so we can make the claims with the FEMA.
Sometimes you don't realize it, but those generators break down, those water pumps stop functioning, and it's great that the federal government is paying attention. Even when the storm was not like a Category 5.
Well, it was important to me that that they applied for it and received it in a fairly short amount of time, and they're no strangers to the disasters of Mother Nature up there. And I want to say it was just recently that they've even stopped taking applications from members of the community for some kind of recompense from the federal government. Anyway, that's interesting stuff, but it's not why you and I are supposed to be talking. I see what you did. I see what you guys in the Republican Party did there. It's just throwing gasoline on the Mike Sinnicolas versus the deep state Democrats on Guam by taking up his side of the congressional quest for war claims. Good job there. Well played, sir.
Well, we're not taking sides. We're trying to promote the passage of 1365 through Congress, and we love the idea of having as our insurance policy 181. We want it to be there, ready and alive. The Trump administration has made sure that it is. Then they're coordinating with Tony Babalta and the rest of the group to make sure that the process will be quick, if we need to use it. But the main issue here is we got notice on Friday. To this point, the Judiciary Committee, every single senator they call has expressed no issue with passing this bill as unanimous consent. Let's make sure that we don't do anything that might change the mind of any of those members. In the past, Senator Lee had voted against movement of the bill when it was originally in the Energy Committee. He is a member of the Judiciary Committee. He's now stated that he's supporting the amendment. So let's let everybody stay on the same page. And I'm glad, the speaker came in really quick. The governor also came in very quick. Everybody said that's the plan. We're all waiting, and I'm excited. It's been a long time since everybody's been on the same side of the fence.
Well, it seemed to take us a while to get to that same side of the fence. I think maybe some of that was the gentle nudge of the GOP here on Guam. Well, maybe not so gentle in my mind, but the gentle nudge of the Republican Party here on Guam, saying, even look, guys, we think this is the way to go. So let's take care of this administratively. Let's do this in Washington, D.C., where the issue rightly belongs, in Washington, D.C., as opposed to the endless debates here on Guam, and the idea that there are people in the federal government that might view our dealings here on Guam as the be-all, end-all solution, and not necessarily take the time to vote for it or support it in Congress.
Yeah, I agree. I think now, what would be nice if we can end up doing a joint statement or something where we all come in and let the federal government, because the people in D.C. is the one that need to know we're all 100% behind this. Let's just move it. Let's do it now. The White House, the president has stated he wants to sign this into law. It's not every day we have that. Secretary of Interior has written a letter to everybody in the Senate and the committee. He did a personal call to the chairman. And said, look, if we can move this, let's try to move it. And so I'm excited about the possibility. I think great minds think alike. Yes. I think everybody aligned at the same time on saying, let's do it this way. I won't credit us with the nudge. I think we all reach the same conclusion around the same time, and that's great. let's help our Manancos and let's get this to the finish line.
Well, let me ask it this way then: is I'm sure that the Democrats are trying to figure out how to respond to the GOP support for Mike Nicholas in this measure. But is there anything else that the GOP can do for the Democrats? Are there any other things that you on the Democrat platform here on Guam that you'd like to support?
Well, I have to say I haven't read the Democratic platform lately, so I can't attest to that. I am sure that there are a lot of things that we have in common. You know, I've been on the record. Once we elect our officials, they're all of our officials. You know, they represent all of us, and if they succeed or fail, we fail or succeed with them. So if they need any help and they ask for support, they'll get it. You know, as long as it is something that's consonant with our values and our reasoning.
Sure.
But it's we need to really focus on issues that are in the well-being of all of us, and maybe Jones Act comes up one day, maybe cabotage extension, you know, adding new countries into the CW program. There's a lot of stuff that sounds interesting. And where I think all of us are aligned on them.
Well, and maybe once we get past the drama of the war claims and the World War II Loyalty Recognition Act, once we get past that, we can concentrate on some of those issues. Yesterday, a picture started floating around in social media here on Guam. I'm sure you saw it. A photograph of James Moylan, cousin, my buddy Jimmy Moylan, and the scion of the Republican Party, in my mind, Mary Torres, and it was a beautiful picture of the two of them. I don't know what the gist of it was that they decided to get a selfie taken together, but I want you to know, and I will go ahead and take credit for it. I had our graphics guy here at the radio station do a mock-up of an ad, and I got to tell you what, the two of those two in the mock-up, and I got it on Facebook Live right now, it looks like they would make great campaign posters.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely photogenic. The picture I got actually had you in the little corner with the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kudos to you, and I think it's a early birthday present for you.
Well, it kind of is. Well, it's just me. I'm trying to poke the bear with a sharp stick here because I want to see what happens. I want to see who comes out and starts freaking out about the possibility that there could be what some have called another Camacho Moylan administration, but in this case this says Moylan Torres. But I think I'm going to have my graphics guy flip it over so that Mary is standing on the left-hand side, and then we'll make it the Torres Moylan ticket.
Well, here's for us. We're really focusing on the 2020 election. We're not looking at 2022. That's where we feel we have an opportunity. We have very good candidates. Our senators are strong. They're doing well. And we just need to find a couple of new guys to come in. We know we're going to have a full slate to fill it. It's a question of to convince the Guam voter that it makes sense to have a Republican majority back in the legislature.
Just take a look at everything that's happened with the Democratic majority that's been in the legislature for a while, and maybe you might be able to convince some folks. 9:26. Listen, I don't want to take away too much of your Saipan time. Enjoy the rest of your coffee, and we'll get together and Beer Summit when you get back.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
I'm looking to it.
Have a good day.
I will. That's Juan Carlos Benitez on the line. Just a little bit of talking story about Mike Nicholas and the Zuckerberg thing this morning, and then Mike Nicholas, and it's very nice. You get the Republicans. You've heard him. I mean, they weren't doing that for tactical purposes. They just, think that's the common sense way to go. Back our congressman. And now that they've backed the congressman and the Republican Party, well, look, just as day follows night, here comes the speaker and here comes the governor saying, "Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to let this thing finish out in the Senate. And then it's going to get to the White House, where they've already said that they're going to sign the thing, just like Lou did on the minimum wage." It's going to happen there. So all happy about that. 9:27 in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK. And Nick says, wow, you go to a doctor's appointment, you miss a lot. This is going to be one of those shows, guys. You will want to go to YouTube Live later on and search for Ray Gibson Show. This episode will pop up because we send the thing to YouTube every day. This will be a video on demand on Facebook after 10 o'clock this morning, and you'll be able to go back to it. I want you to listen to the first 2 hours of the program because we're good all day. This is just the most brilliant thing on FM. Period. But we're good all morning long here in the program. But those first 2 hours are where I thought we were really swinging for the bleachers. We got Bob Klitsky on the line. Mike St. Nicholas was on the line. And who else do we have? Mike was there. Nick Delgado was on.
Yeah, we had Nick talking about the crime beat. Ron McNitch called in. We've had Ken on, the other governor. Ray called us a little while ago, last hour. Yeah, man, it's been a full day and full of information and full of other things.
Yeah, so the rest of it's going to be crap now. I'm just tired of being brilliant.
It's a hard job. Somebody's got to do it. Nobody else on this island.
Have you ever heard the phrase ride or die?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Aren't we all looking for that? And we just, somebody in our life, we can say, that's my ride or die right there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just like having two backbones. That kind of the strength of a relationship. I've got a story here from the court. This is the definition of ride or die. Guam marshals were executing a warrant of arrest for an individual named Melvin Leon Guerrero Jr. We'll just call him Junior from now on. The warrant of arrest related to a probation violation for theft of a firearm, yada, yada, yada. When the marshals appeared at Junior's place and inquired about whether he was in the residence, Leon Guerrero Sr., Melvin Sr., said, yeah, he's here. And so took him to the place in the house where Junior was. Junior's girlfriend, Nohalani, said, he's not in here. He jumped out the bathroom window. Marshals went outside and checked the bathroom window and noted the defendant was inside peeking out of the shutters. So they go back inside. The defendant again repeated that Junior had jumped out the bathroom window. The defendant was instructed to come out of the bathroom. The other defendant instructed to come out of the bathroom but refused. She was in the bathroom, stating that she was using the facility. As they refer to it in the Philippines, the comfort room. Marshals were then given permission by Leon Guerrero Sr., Sidat, to breach the bedroom door, to which they did, but noticed that the bathroom door was still closed. The defendant, Nohelani, was told to open the door, which she said, I'm still using the restroom. I'm filming. The defendant again stated that Leon Guerrero was not in the restroom. However, marshals noted a silhouette squatting through a light-colored shower curtain. So naturally, they didn't believe her. The silhouette was Junior. As Leon Guerrero Jr. was being taken away, the defendant continued to follow the marshals closely and was told to back away but refused to do so and was recording the events with her cell phone. This is the kind of chick you want in your life. Huh?
She got your back, man.
She lying to the marshals for you. And when the marshals finally get you out of the bathroom, dragging you away in handcuffs, she's there filming it. That wasn't enough, though. After Junior was secured, the defendant, Nohelani, was informed that she was being placed under arrest, too, for hindering apprehension of Leon Guerrero Jr., to which she responded by grabbing a nearby truck to prevent the marshals from handcuffing her, and then she became belligerent and started yelling profanities. That's my chick. That's my chick. When marshals attempted to place the defendant in the official vehicle, she dropped to her knees to prevent being placed inside the vehicle. As I said before, guys, if you're looking for ride or die, you can't do better than Nohelani. And you just know that somewhere he's got tattoos that says Nohelani. This is my ride or die chick right there. That's the definition of that particular definition of that phrase. Man, that's brilliant. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how do you find that kind of girl? How do you find somebody that will lie to the marshals for you to the point where she gets arrested? Yep. Chris saying I love the crap part of the show. Thank you very much. I appreciate you acknowledging my frisky behavior. I'll try to keep it up for another half hour. In the meantime, it is 9:31. More from the magistrate report. There's actually a couple of really good ones here, and one involving. This has just got to be the slap fight of the day coming up next. Another one from the magistrate reports involving a fight over social media. Speaking of the media, that's us. My friends next door over at iConnect are looking to hire some guys for their corporate sales team. So if you're self-motivated, energetic, and outgoing, this is what we want you to put together. Get your resume and fill out an application and get that over to hr@iconnectguam.com or visit the main office or the one at the Micronesia Mall. Their applications are there. They're looking for folks with some sales experience, good communicators, and team players. iConnect is an equal opportunity employer.
Hi, welcome to this ad for new Subway sliders starting at $2.49 each. How do you want it? Cheer Squad.
Woo! Go Subway sliders starting at $2.49 each. Give me a $2.49 ham and jack slider.
$2.49 ham and jack slider.
Give me a $2.49 Italian spice slider.
$2.49 Italian spice slider.
What's that spell?
It doesn't really spell anything.
New Subway sliders starting at $2.49 each. Go sliders!
Subway, make it what you want.
Ride or die. That's it, Dave. You see, Diane, you got a ride or die chick right there, and you better be nice to her because you taught her how to shoot guns. That's nice. The other definition of ride or die, dude. She knows how I like my spam. She knows just how thin to cut it so that it comes out perfect tostos when we fry that stuff up. The kind of girl that's going to put your name in the tint of her car. That's what we're all looking for, isn't it? It's 9:33 in the morning. So there's the definition of ride or die. But I love this story as well from the magistrate. I don't do this all the time, right? You know, every once in a while I'll look in the magistrate report and go, I'm sorry, that's just the sour milk of human kindness in a lot of cases. The abuse and violence and things that we do to each other in a fit of whatever rage or passion. There is this story here, though. That I just had to laugh about because it just sounds like a girl fight between a couple of guys. Ansel and Jason were in the parking lot of the dock area of the Barragata post office and were arguing over the victim's decision to exclude the defendant from the victim's social media. I'm unfriending you. And they got into a fight over it. Now, and not any ordinary fight, okay? It's two guys out in public fighting over one guy unfriending the other in social media or something along those lines.
Do you ever tell anyone when you unfriend them?
I don't know why it would even come up. During the course of the argument, the defendant shoved the victim. Defendant thereafter got into his vehicle and reversed the car into the victim. And then the defendant then drove his vehicle towards the victim's car, hitting that one, forcing it into the fence, and it hit a pole and caused even more damage. It was a fight over social media, guys. This has got to be a new low for our community. You just got to wonder about the relation, because it's one of those things. I might. So here's the thing. Maybe he should have just unfollowed the guy.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
That would have been the right way to do it. Yeah, there's people that I talk to on Facebook. There's people that we're talking to each other here on Facebook, and you might notice that you never hear from me anymore. And the reason why is I've unfollowed you. I'm not. We're still friends. Yeah. We're still, we can still communicate with each other, but there are in some cases people that just have put up some really dumb things on the social media, and I go, I don't need this in my feed anymore, so I've unfollowed, I've muted relationships, I've muted people.
How many friends do you have on Facebook? On your account?
Under 5,000, just under 5,000.
See, and that's a lot of people to have constantly coming through on your news feed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, but not all 5,000 are active on Facebook at the same time. Right. I'd venture to say that of the 5,000 people that follow me on Facebook, that I'm friends with on Facebook, it's possible that we're not, we're loose connections and things like that. Right. Old classmates, old girlfriends, whatever, ex-wives, things like that. That we're in contact with each other, but it's not like we see each other or in the same time zone. So it's not like they're constantly in my feed. Generally, it's about the same, 100 or 200 people that are in my in my feed at any given. I mean, you're in it, right? So it's not all terrible. But if you started like posting some really bogus stuff up there, I'd still want to be your friend, but I just unfollow you. And especially now because I know that some people just it's super passionate about their social media habits. Sensitive. And if you unfollow somebody or unfriend them, my God, you're going to go after me with your car. 937 with the car that your chick put her name on it in tint. That's the other version of ride or die. Yeah, she got your name in the tint of her car, but she made you put her name on yours because it's ride or die. I want all the chicks on Guam to know that you are taken, son. Don't ask me where my head's going to be. It's 20 away from 10 o'clock in the morning. Do you remember? You have to because it wasn't that long ago. Do you remember when we were talking about the carnival? And, and the casino at the carnival.
The House of Cards.
and I'm sorry. I don't know how we missed this so badly, but I remember everybody sitting around going, okay, what we'll do, and I was one of them. I'm going to take credit for this. I'm going to fall on my sword, and it's okay to hang me on my own petard, as they like to say. So I was one of the guys that said, dude, there's gonna be gambling. We might as well tax it. We'll set up the House of Cards over at the carnival, and we'll get guys from the Department of Revenue and Taxation to surveil all the games, the chances, and the roulette wheel, and the Texas what do they called it? Fold'em?
Texas Hold'em.
Texas Hold'em.
Yeah.
I know I am that dumb. But anyway, so we'll get the guys from Revenue and Tax, and we'll surveil it, and we'll tax the hell out of it, and we'll be able to solve all of the government of Guam's problems with the revenue that we'll be able to generate from the taxation of the games of chance over at the carnival. And so they did. So they at great political peril, the guys over at the legislature overturned something that in the last legislature they supported unanimously. Everybody backed up on that and said, yeah, this is going to be great because, government of Guam doesn't have any money and we really sure could use the dough. And they changed the law and made it so that we could have casino gaming at the carnival and another game of chances back at the carnival. Now, the Mayor's Council netted all kinds of dough on this one. The Mayor's Council, I want to say, $500,000 worth of licenses and fees that they got as a result of all of this. The aggregate amount of license fees collected says $1,237. I'm not sure if that number is correct because the number that I saw was actually much higher. But getting back to the original genesis, we're going to tax the revenues generated on the casino and the games of chance gaming. And they did, and cash receipts recorded as of September the 16th. This now comes from a report from the Department of Revenue and Taxation that was sent to the Public Auditor's Office. The total amount of business privilege taxes and other taxes collected as a result of this was $15,151. It's possible we lost money on that. I don't know how many people I don't know how many people that Daphne Shimazu sent down to the carnival to work. I don't know how many hours to surveil and to keep track of all of the money that was coming in from all of this. But the amount of money, the total cash receipts that they were able to get, $15,151 in these licenses. Isn't that just amazing? Like I said, folks, I think we lost money on this particular deal. Business privilege taxes and other taxes, $15,151 from these licensees. After you factor in retirement benefits, hourly wages of these employees, it probably cost us $20,000 to have them down there. Isn't that great? 888-825-588-TALK. Well, I guess things don't always work out the way that we anticipate getting them. Should I let him back on? He was already, he is the other governor of Guam, but I'm sure he couldn't resist the opportunity to come in and chime in and say, I told you so. Good morning, Ken.
I told you so. Many times, as a matter of fact.
I know, but look. Here's my position. And I don't know that I'm going to walk it back too much. I will say in this case, I was wrong. I thought we were going to get all kinds of 10 times that amount of money from the taxes and license fees and things like that from the casino gambling. I guess it just didn't work out that way. But I am for and behind the people's right to be able to squander their money any way they want to. You want to put it on bad investments? You want to throw your money away on Bitcoin? You want to throw your money away on with the one-armed bandit? You go right ahead. It's all right with me.
Well, that statement of that advocacy aside, I just wanted to point out that, remember, this casino was going to drag so many people that, it would be a success, and the taxpayers are only going to lose $200,000 is on Liberation Day, since the casino didn't have the draw that everybody was expecting.
You know what? We're just gonna have to advertise better next year. We're just gonna have to. You know what? Maybe that we didn't spend enough time talking about the casino at the carnival and reminding people that there was actually gambling going on. And I think one of the other things is maybe because you had to be 18 years of age or older, right? No, 21 in some cases. Yeah. Well, there's your problem right there. We need to open these things up to everybody that wants to gamble. I mean, we just send this out to middle school kids. Need to learn how to do this.
Well, it is an important part in their development.
Absolutely. The kids need to learn their lessons, Ken.
Yeah, it's the what is it? The hard lessons that teach the most. And what harder lesson is there than losing your lunch money on your way to school and having to sit there? Oh, wait a minute, they get free lunch.
What are kids fighting for these days if they're not fighting the bully for their lunch money?
Losing their cell phone upgrade money and having to use last year's cell phone among their peers.
Well, and as the case may be over at where is it? Which middle school is it? Losing their marijuana money.
These are hard times. I look back, and the biggest problems we had when we were going to school is the students had to find new spots to smoke cigarettes where Mr. Smith wouldn't catch them and administer his board of justice.
When I was at Father Duenas Memorial School, we were allowed to smoke right up until the end of my junior year, and then it was a complete ban on the facility. Junior year, we were only allowed to smoke in the principal's office, and then that was rough. Lunchtime, break time, when you got like 30 guys all smoking it up at the same time, and worse, everybody bumming smokes from each other. But then in these unlicensed, unregulated 1970s, in 1979, there was a institution-wide ban on cigarettes at Father Duenas Memorial. Did that prevent us from smoking? Hell no. There was a place as you drive into Father Duenas Memorial, right across the first door of the old cafeteria building. If you make a line from there straight into the boondocks, there's a mango tree back there. I believe it's still standing after all of these years. And it was at the base of that mango tree that you would be able to find virtually, I don't know, let's call it about 10% of the Father Duenas boys population smoking cigarettes.
See, then that helped protect the mango tree. You didn't have to have a little bonfire underneath it when you had students.
You know what? That's right. They got the smoke killing all the bugs. Anyway, 8:45. It's always fun going down memory lane with you, buddy.
I got one little story I think you'll enjoy. About 3 days ago, I was at the gas station up in Santa Rita, the mobile station, and some guys in there were, you know how they like to fill their car with vape smoke. They get it all filled up so that they can't see. Mm-hmm. One of those cars was pulling out of the pumps and didn't quite make that left fast enough and hit the concrete barrier that protects the oil and the water and air machines. They have these poles filled with concrete. So they hit that because they didn't see it. And then when they stopped and they opened up their doors to get out, then they let all the smoke out. But I thought it was so funny that they were so intent at filling their car with smoke, they did about $500 damage to the front end.
Absolutely brilliant. No, I think everybody should do that. I think there's a valuable lesson in doing that, and just to prove the fact that it can be done with a variety of vape smoke materials. It's 9:46. I'm going to run and talk to you pretty soon.
Okay.
All right, you have an outstanding day. 888-255-8888-TALK. So I'm that kind of guy. I want you to know I'm that kind of guy. If it comes down to it, and I was a proponent, I said long and loudly and often, more than often, that we need to return casino gaming and games of chance to our carnival. I think it's not the same in my mind without all of that. And we had the added benefit of being able to surveil the activities a little bit tighter, and I thought we were going to make money hand over fist. Because there's just people, we got game rooms open 24 hours a day here on Guam. There's people that are just that compulsive. And apparently we just didn't do a good enough job reaching out to them. And I think the idea that they were very, very restrictive on who could go in, i.e. over 18, over 21. I think that contributed to the lack of dollars coming in. I think, if we'd extended this to when I was small, we could play the color game. Yeah. And nobody ever said you had to be a certain age to play the color game. You'd be a 10-year-old kid walk up. If you had a quarter to put on the table to pay red, pay red, they would take the quarter. Or you were allowed to gamble with that kind of thing. I don't ever remember putting an age limit on it, and maybe that's why we didn't make a whole lot of money on this. I say that for Liberation 2020, I say it would just remove all of the restrictions whatsoever, and just make sure that we've got rev and tax people in there. I know we can do a better job if we really, really put our minds to it. 9:47 in the morning, 888-255-888-TALK is my telephone number around here. Let me just take a quick look at the bottom of the table of contents. I'm pretty sure I did all the stuff at the top. Deadline to petition the Supreme Court has passed, yada, yada. It got some great laughs out of that one there. The Census Job Fair drawing a huge crowd. Of course it did. Of course it drew a big crowd. Look, it's short time, part-time, non-permanent work. The dollar sounded pretty good. If you've got the extra time in your schedule, or if you've got time in your schedule to bring in an extra $15 an hour, maybe $20 an hour, depending on the position, wouldn't you have skipped out of work yesterday? In fact, that would be the good question. Is between 10 and 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, how many yellow plates were there at the Agana Shopping Center? I'm sure that there were a number of yellow plates associated with stats and plans and the whole Census 2020, infrastructure. But I wonder how many other yellow plates there were, actual employees of the government of Guam going, that looks pretty good. That right there looks pretty good. I could sign up for that. I could, make the additional $15 an hour or so. And I'd take that job while I'm still on regular Gov Guam time. Wonder if there were people that might have, because there's got to be, right? There's got to be people that have got their bosses so PW'd that they're able to maybe make their own schedule in the government of Guam. The kind that just show up when it's payday. Or show up when they know that the governor is going to be swinging by for a visit or something like that.
Like 50% of them?
Yeah, where people that just look, they're not going to notice me if I'm gone, so I'll still be an employee of the government of Guam and draw my regular salary. But while I'm doing that, I could be working with the census guys and making $15-20 an hour. So I wonder how many of those there were. I probably should have yesterday. Except I didn't think about it until just now, but it probably should have gone by there yesterday just to take a look at the scene, because they said, the hiring for hundreds of people, so no doubt hundreds of people showed up for all of that. Down the rest of it, the Russian asylum seekers, there's an interesting story there where people from Russia were actually coming to Guam, and I think it was Mike that originally brought it up, because I did noted that I'm seeing more Russians, or white folks basically, that look like Russians walking around, in the village. What's that all all about? You know,
yeah, we had a couple move into my apartments about a year ago, and they're still there.
Yeah.
Nice folks. They're good. They're the only people in the complex that plant plants outside of their house.
Oh, that's so nice. But I was talking with a friend of mine, and she's deep into the homeless community here on Guam, and we're noting now that there are seems to be a blossoming part of our homeless population is these asylum seekers from Russia, and what's to be done about that? In some cases, are they capable of getting jobs here? Is the question. And I don't know the answer to that. Generally you got to be able to live and work on Guam, and as an asylum seeker, you might not fall into that same employment category. So how are these people getting by? In many cases, they're not getting by. In some cases, they are finding work in shops maybe that are looking the other way. It might be a bartender or two in a couple of these little kind of hole-in-the-wall places that might strike you with the acrylic accent that they have. And maybe that's how they got here, seeking asylum. There's and you wonder what it is that they're running from. I mean, what is now Russia, I think, is a completely different kind of Soviet experience than it was before. They obviously have embraced a certain degree of capitalism. I think they're still the communist hun, but I don't think it is as bad as it was, say, the Russia, the Soviet Union that existed when I was a little boy.
Right, yeah, this isn't the same Russia that Reagan was trying to kill.
So the question is, what is it that they're running from? What policies? What practices? I mean, are they religious escapees? In one case, my friend said that one of the guys is gay.
Oh, yeah, they don't. Yeah, that's against the law.
Well, so if he wanted to be gay, he couldn't be gay in Russia anymore. So he found a way to get on an airplane and now has come to the United States seeking asylum because of his sexual preferences.
We need to make a new song. All my exes live in Moscow.
That could work. 9:52 in the morning. I should probably take a break, and we'll go over the last of the small talk items in the table of contents when we return.
We understand what matters to you because at Docomo Pacific, we're a family too. With the Now Family program, mom, dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices the whole family can enjoy. For just $155 a month, get 3 lines with 30 gigs of 4G LTE data each, and endless use of your favorite apps without affecting your monthly data bucket. Add more, get more, save more. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
Yeah, I was talking about Ride or Die, and Nick Perlowski is thinking about the old CHOD code 4-8, love 6-7. And if you didn't know what the heck that meant, then you don't know anything. What is that code? It's back in the olden days when Johnny Gerber was the guy on the radio. And now you got to remember that when Johnny was on the radio, there were 2 radio stations on Guam. And nobody listened to the other one when Johnny was on. That's just fact. And so if you wanted to do a dedication, and Johnny used to do these love story dedications, love song dedications, you could call up and say, you know, so-and-so wants to wish, say I love you to such and such. But there was always a good possibility that such and such's mom and dad were listening to the broadcast as well, and probably weren't going to be in favor of that kind of, you know, open show of love and passion and commitment. Yeah, who said? I didn't say you could date. So what's going on here? So that was the code, and it was kind of a unique thing. So I'm Ray Gibson, R-A-Y, 3, Gibson, G-I-B-S-O-N. That's 6 letters. So I would be 3-6. And to make it more specific, because there might be other 3-6s out there, they would go 3-6 from Mong Mong Totomaiti. And then everybody knows, oh, he's talking about Ray. That's Ray Gibson. This is Ray Gibson from Mong Mong Totomaiti. That's it. And then the other numbers would relate to your girlfriend's, you know, numbers. So that was the code there. That was the code. So, you know, this 3-6, doing a shout-out to 6-11. You know who you are. 888-255-8888.
Well, that's a long last name.
Yeah, it is kind of, yeah, it is, yeah, that's why I cannot put it in the tint on the back of my truck, because it's not wide enough for the tint on the back of my truck.
And if you could, then the letters would be too small to see.
Ride or die, baby. That should have been the theme for today's program. The problem is it would take me 3.5 hours to get to the answer. Today's program, the actual name is Ready, Fire, Aim, which is the way it looks like we have treated the Davis case. Everybody knew it was coming, and they waited until the last minute to make a decision on whether or not we're going to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. We are. And Mike Phillips is going to take us there. That's what's going to happen. And then Mike Phillips took a look around and said, yeah, I could probably put together a case. But I only got 5 days to do it in order to meet the deadline, in order to put this case together. And there's a whole lot of finessing that needs to be done to get out from under the 15th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. And that's not something you're going to be able to put together in a handful of days. So he's like, tell you what, we'll file for an extension on this deadline. But the deadline to file the extension, that had already passed. And as a result of it, Mike says this is going to be like Mission Impossible. But if you remember the television show, they were able to actually pull off some of the impossible things. So, you know, you'd never turn your back on Mike Phillips. Never discount Mike Phillips. Never think that he's done with the fight until he says he's done with the fight. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this one. But it looks like the more direct path is not going to work. It looks like the more direct path is not open to us now. So we're going to have to take some side trips to that. But it just kind of makes you think about what the priorities were for all of the people that were backing this. And it makes you wonder about, the quality of the counsel perhaps that the governor was getting, and who is the legal counsel to the governor. Here's the sad thing is the legal counsel of the governor is actually her son-in-law. So I don't think that this guy's going to get, I don't think there's going to be any kind of public admonishment at this point.
But that also kind of leads to the speculation that Jerry shared with us this morning.
Yeah,
maybe the whole thing is just calculated.
Yeah, just kind of punted it on purpose. Yeah, we wanted to go to the Supreme Court, but we didn't really want to go to the Supreme Court. Oh, shucks darn, we missed the deadline by just a skosh. We're going to have to deal with this Davis case, find another way to deal with it, and maybe that ain't going to be so bad. It will be, but we got what we got here. I wonder if things would be different if there were other people running the business here on Guam. Oh, how'd that get back up on the screen? How does that happen? Just at the same time, I wonder out loud if things would have been different if there were other people in charge. All of a sudden, that goes back up on the screen.
Yeah, it's like magic.
That's crazy. I got to change the password on my computers. We'll get around to doing that tomorrow. 9:58 and change on the program, and I guess the last couple of things that we've got here. I kind of riffed on this a little bit earlier, but the Johnny and Johnny story, those guys that walked out of the halfway house over at the Department of Corrections, and everybody knows that they escaped, but they went before the judge yesterday and denied the fact that they escaped. Now, considering that there's probably a lot of pictures floating around still on everybody's phone, because I get the day that these guys self-surrendered, everybody on their phones had a picture of them being escorted into a DEPCOR van. Right? Everybody saw that. So we're going to have to find a way to explain that. Well, you know what? Worst comes to worst. Call Mike Phillips, because I don't know if he's going to be doing the Supreme Court case. He might actually need to get a couple of clients in there. So looking at the clock here, I've managed to talk my way through another 4 hours of incredible talk radio here on 93.3. The Point. You know what? We're going to do it again tomorrow. And tomorrow is going to be an even better, brighter show, because tomorrow I will be in an incredible mood because it will be the Friday show. Tomorrow is also quiz. It's quiz night, so it's a quiz night morning. You know I'm going to be in that mood, so you're not going to want to miss it. For Michael Knight and Montesilva Tyron and Renee Logie, this is Ray Gibson saying thanks so much for listening to the program, and I'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Excuse the mess. KUSG Hagåtña 93.3. This is The Point.
He's calling it permanent. I'm Lee Silasera, Fox News.